Wow.
What's going on, everybody? It's your boy PTK Bland back in the building with another episode of the Shop Podcast. How is everybody doing? And I know right away. You looking at the lineup, it's a little different, man. You guys see, shout out to Pong Soul, my boy, not here this weekend, man. Not feeling too well, but shout out to you. Hope you feel better, brother. Speedy recovery. But we do have a replacement, and we couldn't really pick a better person to replace Mr. Pong Soul than the other half of
No.
living split screen, man. So we got to go in. We're gonna get to these right away too, because we got a lot to talk about, chat. So we ain't gonna really play in the weeds too much. But let's go ahead and get to you. Still, how you doing? Shout out to you for coming through. I threw the bat signal up kind of late, chat. You know how it goes sometimes at the last minute, man. But shout out to you still for coming through, man. Living split screen popping off. Great show as well. But how you doing this week, man?
Yeah, man, I'm doing pretty well. Can't complain. Appreciate you having me on. You sent the signal out. I was like, you know what? I just got off of the Gamers Council with Web Dave and Retri.
Shout out to
Shout out to the
Retri
homies
and
over
Dave. Yeah.
there. And we had a good conversation, and I know we always have a good conversation over this way. So I'm ready to get it locked and loaded, man. Appreciate you having me.
Oh, appreciate you as well. Coming through, like I said, at the last second, man. Once again, shout out to Pong. Hope you feel better, brother. But like I said, man, we couldn't really pick a better replacement. So perfect place, perfect timing. You always coming through. Appreciate you still, man. You guys go ahead and all that information down in the description. I will go ahead and edit Steele's information in the description after this, but you guys know where to find him, man. Shout out to Live Split Screen, all love and support. So you and Pong, you guys created a great show over there still. So thank you for coming through as well, man. And we have another guest. So this guest, gentleman, has been on before, but it's been a little bit, man, and I am a huge, massive fan. Everything this guy has going on. If you don't know already, if you're living under a rock, man, go follow this gentleman, man. One of the most original, the OG gamers in the Xbox community. Got a fantastic community, got a fantastic show. What's up, Dirt? How you doing? Glad to have you here, man. This has been a great week. Really, it's the best week I can have you on, to be honest.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me on, man. I appreciate the invite. I appreciate what you're doing over here. You know, man, I mean, you was doing it way before me, my brother.
Thank
So
you,
yeah. Thanks, yeah, man. Thanks for having me on, love. You got Steel Rain on, the homie Steel Rain. Got the homie Fuzzy on. Let's go, man.
Let's get it, man. Shout out to Dirt coming through. All his information is already in the description. Go follow him. He got the movement, everything he got going on over there, man. It's massive. Go follow that. You want to laugh. If you're an Xbox fan, you'll like what he's talking about, man. I promise you. You know I don't steer you. You're on here at the Shop Podcast. We always transparent. But shout out to you, Dirt. Thank you for coming through, bro. We got a great show. So, like I said, it's really the best week to have you on. So I'm glad for you to be here, bro. So I got my right-hand man. Gentleman always here every single week. Mr. Fuzzy Belvedere, man. It's been a hell of a week. That's probably an understatement in reality for us. But how you doing, bro?
Oh yeah, I'm doing great. Glad to be here with you. Also, some awesome guests on here tonight. Man, this has been a wonderful week, and this is going to be a good way to cap it off. So, man, some interesting topics to get into. So let's do this.
Oh man, let's get into it, man. We already see people coming through. In chat, we got King Thrash came through. You see that, Dirt? You bring everybody out, Dirt. It's crazy. Shout out to everybody, Joey, Luis, man, Ashtray. Got everybody coming through, man. Zinc, what's up, man? It's gonna be fun tonight, Dirt. We're gonna have a good time. It's gonna be a memorable show, man. Shout out to all of you guys, man. Let's get into it, man. I'm glad to be here. It's a great Saturday, man. But we got a lot to talk about. We actually going to forego the poll of the week, man. But if you want to be a part of that, I throw it up every single Monday. Shout out to the over 150 people that voted on this last week's poll. Appreciate you guys. We just got a lot to talk about, and I really want to just dive into it. So we actually going to start with arguably the biggest news of the week, and that's going to be the Xbox leaks, man. And we jumping the porch on this one. We're going to start with you, Steel. Chat, we got to get into this, chat. Like I said, we jumping off the porch. This is a big deal. This is unprecedented, Steel. This stuff never happens. And I know, shout out to Pong, he was chomping at the bits when this happened. I can imagine him rolling over right now. Not right now, but rolling over when it happened. Him jumping out of his bed, getting super excited, getting crazy. You know how Pong is, man. It's the stuff that he wants to happen, man. But shout out to Pong for willing this stuff to existence. But what's going on with you still? Where you at, man, when this happened? How you feeling just about the overall leaks and just the impact going forward with Xbox?
So how I'm feeling about the overall leaks, I don't feel like they're really a big deal in a lot of ways. And I don't mean like as far as a conversation piece, because of course they're a big deal as far as that goes. Again, this is the most information that we've gotten from Xbox, and we're not typically privy to a lot of what happens behind the scenes. We've gotten more of that because Xbox is typically consumer facing, right? But a lot of the news that we've seen, I think we're already to me, we're foregone conclusions, right? I mean, the things that were happening with Bethesda, get a peek behind that curtain.
To be clear, wasn't it majority of it Bethesda ZeniMax stuff? It wasn't really the other Xbox stuff. To be clear,
right. Exactly, and most of it was, and I know some people have been using that as a concern. It's like, oh man, shouldn't you guys be worried that there was no games in those documents? All that stuff that leaked and no games. And
I heard that.
I don't know if that's necessarily the perspective you want to run with, but anyway, with it being more so focused around Bethesda, I feel like it gave us more of a peek of why maybe Redfall came out the way that it did, why some things have been pushed back again. If Starfield was supposed to be released in 2021 and it came out in 2023 because they were given time, that means at least a lot of those things are pushed back by 2 years from what we've seen in those documents. Now, for me, a lot of the Bethesda stuff, I do understand why people are hyped for it, but I don't have that Bethesda bone, right? Starfield's a good game. It's my game of the year right now. But that's as far as it goes. So everything else that I heard from those leaks is very middle ground for me. I'm excited for those who are fans of it. And I do think that this is another oops as far as Microsoft goes. But there is a little bit of conspiracy side of me, and I saw people bringing this up to where it's like these big companies letting information like this just get out there, and it's just like, oops, I don't know how we let that slip. Oh man, the email wasn't protected. We're a software company, but we didn't protect that email. That doesn't quite make sense to me. But again, accidents happen. It is what it is. Whoever did it is probably going to end up losing their job, I'd imagine. That's unfortunate for them. But yeah, man, it's a good peek behind the curtain, but not really something that gets my wheels turning or anything like that outside of some of the other things like the console coming, a new console potentially, the controller and things of that nature. So
yeah. And once again, I think the highlight here is that this never happens, right? We never really get this kind of a peak. And it is, to be honest, chat, this is what we do here at the Shop Podcast. We got to look at this thing and for all perspective, man. It is a bit odd considering, like you said, this is a software company. And it happened the way it did, right? You know, like you said, just an attachment, like a random ass attachment to a file that didn't get protected, and boop, one click, and everything hits the internet. You know what I mean? And it's just crazy how that happens. But ultimately, like you said, I didn't really feel like it was damning. And I know some people, shout out to everybody, the trolls out there running with it. You know, that's how it goes. You know what I mean? Some people are going to take that perspective and run with this, but I didn't really feel like it was really damning at all, or really did anything to diminish the direction that Xbox is already going. And like you said, a majority of it was Bethesda, ZeniMax stuff. Some of this stuff we had already like deduced anyway, as far as what was in the stable, what potentially could be coming out. Now we never usually get confirmation, though. That's the thing, right? Still, we don't ever get like the actual confirmation. Oh shit, they actually like this is what's actually being made. We never get that until we get the showcases and the directs and state of plays and all that kind of stuff. So this is very, very unusual, chat. Now you guys agree with that as well too. But let me throw this back to Dirt here. Just once again, Dirt, when this happened, bro, this is huge. Like I said, this never happens, man. And like I said, we got to get all perspective on this. Depending on how you take the information and take the leaks, you know, some people try and run with this, you know, completely different direction than it actually is. But like, I think we parroted this already, that I don't think this really hurt Xbox or Microsoft really in any way. But let us know where you at on this.
Yeah. First off, let me say this. I'm sorry about this foolishness in the chat. Do you usually have stuff like this in the chat usually?
No, it's all
I'm
good.
sorry, brother.
No, it's all good.
I retweeted, and like maybe some of the ponies that follow me came in here acting up. Sorry about that. But as far as your question, these are Saga accounts in the chat. But anyway, I agree with you. It like the information leaked, a lot of information leaked, but I don't think it was damning. You know, it wasn't damaging. It was just like, and you know, when Phil Spencer himself tweeted that, you know, some of that stuff is old. it's unfortunate that these leaks happen, but like Steel Rain said, was it a leak or was it a leak? If you know what I'm saying, it makes you think. Like it was such a massive leak. Like, damn, how did this get out? Like, this is Microsoft. How did this get out? I was really curious about that, but there was some great stuff in there, man. Like you mentioned, a lot of Bethesda stuff leaked. Great roadmap, if you want to be honest. Bethesda is really looking good. Obviously some of the stuff is old, like Phil Spencer said, so some of the stuff might not come to fruition, but just a discussion. As Xbox fans, we took it one way. I can't speak for all the Xbox fans, but this is how I took the leaks. Looking at the leaks, reading the leaks, like, whoa, Xbox ain't playing. This is some serious stuff what Xbox has coming in the future. The other side took the leaks as, oh man, Xbox trying to take over the world. What's going on? They're being unfair. So it was very interesting stuff, man. But to be honest, with a leak of that size, it seemed like it kind of came and went. It seemed like after a couple days, we had kind of moved
really
on.
Did.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. That's what when you think about a leak that big, we kind of moved on. I saw like when you see a lot of the leak is from 2020 or 2021, things change all the time in the gaming industry. So we didn't know what was going to stick, what's still happening, or what's canceled. We just don't know. So
true.
I guess is why people kind of stopped talking about it. But yeah, it was a huge leak. But I agree, like you said, I'm going to repeat myself. It wasn't too damning for Xbox.
Yeah, not at all. Not at all. I didn't really feel, and like you said, that's the crazy thing is it came and went super fast, chat. Like
it did.
It was extra, like you said, 2-3 days maybe, and we had already moved on. And like you said, this is a big week. It's been jam packed. So there's a lot of other big things that happened this week. Got TGS, we'll get into that. You got the ABK stuff, we'll get into that. Obviously here a little bit later, but yeah, this leak was kind of crazy. And I want to throw something back at you here real quick, Dirt, before we throw this over to Fuzz. And wrap this first topic up, bro. Just about I know specifically Bethesda and ZeniMax. I know you mentioned the roadmap in chat. This is something that we've been talking about, like, what's going on with Bethesda after Starfield. Obviously, Starfield, we got DLC coming. That's going to be the game they're going to focus on, and then they're going to move on to Elder Scrolls. Obviously, I think that's the next big thing to come out in the pipeline. But you see all these other little things. So where you at just with the overall like roadmap for Bethesda? I know you mentioned that earlier.
Did you say me? Because I'm sorry. Did you say me? Or
Dirt. Mm-hmm.
Oh man, I think Bethesda is looking incredible. They're showing their value because when Xbox initially picked them up, they had a few games that was PlayStation exclusives, and now that that's done, and you see the roadmap, Starfield is a success. Actually, I read that Elder Scrolls 6 is in production. It's not even in pre-production anymore. It's in production.
I believe still. I don't know if you can confirm that, but chat as well. I believe they did mention production as well. Your mic is muted still if you're talking.
Yeah.
Oh, my fault. You talking about as far as Elder Scrolls 6 goes?
Yeah.
I do think that Todd Howard stated that they were starting some of the like storyboarding and things in that for Elder Scrolls 6. So they may have started production. But I know they're going to put out there. I know they're going to focus on doing the DLC too. So I think there's still going to be some time. But again, this is the 6th game of its iteration. So I'd imagine that this is going to be more of like a 4 to 5 year cycle at max, depending on how they choose to approach it. So
yeah, see, like the thing is with Starfield DLC though, you got to realize there's 500 employees there, but they don't need all 500 to do their DLC. You know what I'm saying? So I definitely believe they are in production because I did read they're in production.
Okay.
On Elder Scrolls 6. Yeah, and you're right, still, right? It's probably about 4 or 5 year cycle. But the future looks incredible, man. If you think about id Software, they're definitely, because Doom Eternal came out in 2020?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah, 2020. We all know about Machine Games doing Indiana Jones. You think about Arcane Leon, the guys that did Deathloop. They're doing something, and I do believe that Dishonored 3 is something that they're doing, because if you read those articles about Redfall and even Deathloop, they were like they wanted to do Deathloop 3, and at the time ZeniMax said no because Deathloop. I'm sorry, let me rephrase that. They wanted to do Dishonored 3, but at the time Dishonored 2 didn't do too well. So ZeniMax said no, do something else, and that's when they did Deathloop, and like Deathloop wound up being like the same budget as a Dishonored 3 would have been. So I definitely believe they're doing a Dishonored 3 because that's a big franchise, even though the second game didn't do too well. So ZeniMax, Bethesda, they have so much great content coming out, and they're big. It was a great pickup by Xbox, no doubt about it.
Absolutely. And I already think, obviously with the release of Starfield, they've already, made their weight back in gold.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Like we talk about Insomniac, and I said it, I put this tweet out, a few weeks ago, I believe, those are the two biggest steals, I think, as far as like studios in the last 10, 15 years, as far as like one studio for the value, for the price. I know 7.5 billion sounds crazy, but when you got a game like Starfield, you've probably already made a portion of that back, if not, a good chunk of that back already in one game. And, you got ESO doing well. You got this huge roadmap for all of these other studios. So, Fuzz, we got to get to you on this one, too. So, we got to make sure we get you in on this, Fuzz. And these leaks, obviously, are big. You know what I mean? It's something we talked about. This never really happens ever in the industry. We get, like, actual confirmation, actual documents. Now, the one thing, and I want to make sure we highlight this because you brought this up, Dirt, is that things change. Some of that information wasn't like new. In 2-3 years things could change. So where are you at just on the documents and just the leaks?
Yeah. Well, we saw some of those changes with like Elwood, which is the Series S update. The pricing that they listed versus the new console that's in black, it still has the 1 terabyte. So there's some things that we've seen since those documents versus what's already in the works kind of deal. I don't know if they're going to continue and reiterate on the Series S again with the way everything is set. But, for the most part, the leaks, I would say for the most part, like you guys said, it wasn't anything bad. It just gives us a peek behind the curtain, as Pong would say, which is great because we all kind of thought that, they're going to eventually release some sort of haptic feedback controller. It was nice to see that there is consideration for a handheld. I don't know how many of you guys are for or against a handheld, but I think it would be a pretty cool option. Maybe even something like a hybrid for next gen. Not to copy the Switch or anything like that, but having something that's as powerful as the Series S that's portable and dock it and it's like closer to like Series X capability would be awesome. ZeniMax or Bethesda itself, as far as their roadmap, as far as games that are in development, some project names that we're not even sure what they're pointing to, whether it's possibly the multiplayer for, oh my God, I'm having a blank here, for Starfield or something like that. But yeah, there's some good chunks in that, or some interesting nuggets in that, in those sheets as far as the leaks and things like that. But I would say the great thing is that they're not sitting on their laurels. Like they're not at the top of the game or anything like that yet. They're still clawing their way to the top of the hill, and they're making plans, not just for tomorrow, but 5 years, 10 years out. And whether it's hardware or software related, and keep in mind, the focus wasn't really to focus on, other first party Xbox studios with this FTC thing, because the question was always brought up about Bethesda and how they handled the Bethesda acquisition versus what they could potentially do with ABK. So we're not seeing any of those things as far as the game. So as far as the people that were like, oh, well, we didn't see any leaks for games, it's like, you do understand most of the controversy was about how, originally there was accusations that, Phil lied about how Bethesda would be handled. And it was like, no, he's always said, no, the games will be accessible except for the legacy stuff. The games will be accessible where Game Pass
wherever
is
Game
available.
Pass is. Yep.
So that's what they've stuck to. And it looks like with Elder Scrolls 6, it's going to continue. And I agree with Dirt. It's in production because I'm figuring once Starfield went gold, you don't have to have the full team focused on, the DLC. That's usually with most companies or most dev teams we see. the DLC is always like a smaller subset of that team, and then the main part of the team can move on to the next project, while they have already had probably a small subset working in the background on some of that stuff. And now that they have, Creation Engine 2.0, which is more than likely going to be the foundation for Elder Scrolls 6, I won't say that it's going to be a full 4 years, and I definitely don't think it's going to be a 2-year turnaround, but it will be, I think, a smoother or a faster process, because to my understanding, Starfield was like in production since 2016, although be it didn't really get ramped up until like, let's say 2019-ish, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, for the most part, hopefully that's one of those games that either makes it before this gen is over with, or it's winds up being a launch title and a cross-gen compatible game for the current gen into the next gen. But yeah, awesome stuff in those documents. We get to see some Game Pass numbers, which Keasante and Everborn kind of talked about earlier
Shout out
today.
to
And it's like,
and Everborn.
yeah, well, the thing is, nobody really talks about like where that graph shows the number starting at. So they're already like based on that graph, and whether I guess the question would be whether it's projection or if it's actuality, and then the continuation into projection for coming years. But based on the combination of the console and PC, they're already at like 40 or so. So if you look at where that starting line is, they're already at higher than what the last confirmation was, and we've gotten word that they're at 30 mil, but it looks like they're probably even beyond that at this point. And we'll see when the Xbox Live converted over to Game Pass core numbers are counted in there as well. But yeah, some good stuff. Glad that they're planning things out in an orderly fashion. It'd be nice if there was a pro model in there, although I could care less either way, because I'm slowly transitioning to PC. But the Series X, I think probably the biggest thing that people keep on overlooking is if PlayStation does make a PS5 Pro, they're probably going to follow on the more closely to RDNA 2 or 2 Plus or whatever, which means the tool sets that would be used to give any advantage or any usage to the new hardware would also benefit Xbox at that point, because it's already full RDNA 2. So I kind of see why they're saying, or why Phil may have said that it's not really in the plan for a mid-gen like Series X Pro or type of model, because now if the competition finally uses the same tool set, they'll benefit from it as well. So at worst, they may not have the quote unquote most powerful console at that point, but I don't think they're, based on those documents, they're not as worried about that as much as like when you have 75% of your hardware sales is Series S, and that gets more feet in the door kind of thing, being a more affordable alternative for people to pick up and hit Game Pass and enjoy these same next gen games. I could see the focus until next gen comes around. But yeah,
Well,
cool stuff in there. Awesome to see the peek behind the curtain type of deal. Wish we could get more of this type of stuff, but feel bad for whoever's probably going to get axed after this. I mean, it's hard to say, because if it's an Xbox employee that was told to load to this particular portal, and the FTC didn't do the redaction, or the court didn't do the redaction, is it the employee's fault, or is it I guess that we'll find out when the whoever gets laid off, if they make a stink on social media and be like, damn it, they asked me because but anyway, awesome stuff. Look forward to these next couple of years and see this refresh Series X. And about the digital, because I don't I always like hearing the arguments about physical versus digital, and I know there's quite a few people that are physical only gamers out there, and they want to have that preservation of the discs and stuff like that. But I think the biggest thing now is we've kind of lost that physical media argument back at the beginning of the previous generation. So at this point, most of these games that are coming out, you can't get the full game on the disc because of the size of the format. And then even if you do, because of always online or updates and things like that, the disc is pretty much useless for the most part, other than it being some sort of like key type of deal. So having the next console be digital only, which I'm kind of surprised they didn't do a Series X digital edition as well. Prior to this, it's only a matter of time before consoles go the way of the PC, where everything is digital moving forward. I mean, when was the last time you saw a physical game for a PC? So,
when was the last time you seen a CD drive for a PC?
Exactly.
Great point.
Yeah, no, great point. So no, you broke a lot of stuff down, chat, and obviously this leak was huge. It had a lot of big implications, like you said. A lot of people took it a lot of different ways. That was a cool thing about it. It moved on extremely fast. It did shed a lot of light on some of the things that we always debate here on these shows. And shout out to Pong once again. I wish I had him here to talk about this because I know he go ham on this fucking topic. But feel better, brother, for sure. We're gonna hold it down for you for sure. And we might have one more guest dropping in here. He just hit me up. So hopefully in a few minutes here he'll drop in here and we're gonna kick this thing up another notch, man. But that was actually a great first topic. Obviously, one of the biggest things that happened this week. So we're gonna throw this over to you, my right hand man, Fuzz. Where else are we going this week? We have so much to talk about, man.
I kind of want to start because I know we want to eventually get Tokyo Game Show and the ABK stuff in there, but I at least want to go with my all-time favorite, game that we've probably played way too much of getting announced this week, and that's the Division 3. We got word late this week because the hits didn't stop coming after the CMA made their preliminary announcement, which benefits Ubisoft with the whole deal that Xbox has with them. They decided to kind of release another nugget. Maybe they were afraid of it being leaked out later, or maybe now that the ABK deal looks like it's more of a light at the end of the tunnel type of thing, and they stand to benefit. They're like, oh yeah, we could do Division 3. So Garrity, the original director for both Division 1 and 2, looks like he's heading back over to head up for Division 3 with Massive, and that I guess kind of means that they're winding down for Star Wars. They probably are pretty close to either finishing that or within the next year that should be wrapped up, and they can start focusing on the team for Division 3. And then Pandora or Avatar, the Pandora's thing, should be released here in the next couple of months. But Division 3 kind of shadow drop announcement, just a Twitter post, not a showcase thing, which I thought was kind of weird, but maybe it's just a matter of timing. It was like, oh yeah, we everything is greenlit now because the checkbook is back in business type of deal,
man.
But with that being said, and I know everyone has at least played a little bit of Division, whether it's Division 1 or 2 here. What are your thoughts as far as what you'd like to see from a Division 3? And I guess the next thing would be, is it absolutely necessary for Xbox to get the marketing rights like they have for the previous 2 games? So I'll start with you. Dirt. What do you think?
Yeah, first off, I love the Division games. I put more time in part 1 than I did part 2 for some reason. I believe I love the setting of New York better than like what was part 2, Washington or something in the summertime. Something about that New York setting, man, I just loved it. But the marketing, I believe, is not as important because part 2, in my opinion, didn't hit like part 1 did as far as popularity. But it's cool to have marketing because marketing a big third-party game is always good, especially in today's times. But I would rather them market it than not market it. But at the same time, I don't think it's a deal breaker. It will hurt it on the Xbox. But as far as the game itself, I'm super excited for it because, like I said, I don't know why I didn't put as much time in part 2 as I did part 1. But it's been some years. It's been some years. Were they still dropping content for part 2? Or did they slow down on that?
Yeah, they
kind
still
of
have seasons.
They have
Yeah.
seasons, and every now and then they'll drop some story content. The seasons kind of go along. It's usually like a piece of story content. Then you get a bunch of other stuff, seasons where you can get gear, other things like that. So yeah, it's not really like brand new content. Like, oh, here's another area, here's another. Although they did lay out kind of a pseudo roadmap, they did give us kind of a roadmap for DLC and things like that. But we've all just been waiting for Division 3, honestly.
Yeah. Well, let's get. Yeah, but like you said, Fuzzy, it's kind of weird. They just announced it on Twitter, like no, like not at a showcase, not at a Game Awards. It's like, yeah, y'all. Guess what? We're doing part 3. Yeah, like okay, that's cool and all. But look, I love those games. I love the gameplay. The campaign isn't much of a story, but as far as the co-op and the Dark Zone, listen, man, the part 1 was some of the most fun I had in the Xbox One days. I remember me and my friends went into that Dark Zone when we weren't ready. We said, "Hey, man, it's going." And it was like we were just scared, like we was going to a hood in real life. We were just scared to death because we know we were too weak to be in there.
Yeah,
and we went in there and we were scared
messing
to death.
around in there. See,
yeah, man. But it was so fun. So yeah, I love the Division. I can't wait for part 3. I'm sure it's years away, but still, that's.
So what city is there? A location would you like it?
I want it back in New York, man. I mean, this is me. Yeah, even though I'm from Detroit, I just something about that New York setting. I loved it in the wintertime. The snow was on the ground during Christmas time. I love that setting, man. That's just I don't know why I love the setting so much, but I prefer that than maybe the jungle type of setting.
So chat, let us know, what city would you like Division 3 to be in? Like, what would you guys like the setting to be? Let us know right now, chat. I don't, because if you follow along with the story, I think did it originate in New York? I think that was the first.
Yeah.
Like the Zero.
That was with the outbreak. Yeah.
Patient Zero essentially was in New York, and then it kind of spread out from there. I don't know, man. I kind of like to see them go somewhere else. I mean, New York is great, and I get it. But I'd like to see them do
somewhere
different.
Outside of America, maybe you thinking? Like London or something, or
I don't know. That feels too much like Assassin's Creed. Like, do we need to go to London? I don't even think that has there ever been a different country mentioned in Division as far as in the story, anything about it.
Just some of the people coming from other regions, as far as other military related personnel and things like that.
Maybe, but I can't see it being any other country. I don't know if that would make sense. That feel too like Assassin's Creed-ish. Like, we're just gonna do this to do it. I don't know. Where you at on that, Fuzz? Where would you location? You got an idea?
For me, it's not as much the location that would matter. I just want them to have seasons, because I do agree the snow environment was what set Division 1 apart.
Yeah.
Like, if they can, I know looking back at Forza Horizon 4, it seems kind of silly to have each week it goes from rain to snow.
I didn't like that.
Yeah, for me personally. For Forza Horizon, I didn't like it, but I think in something like the Division, you could probably get away with it. Or have it where it's a big enough map where there is some area that's still going to have snow. There is some area it's going to be sunshine, or maybe that you're able to travel some form of way by helicopter.
That's what I'm saying. Maybe because
vehicles, that would be cool.
Really? Vehicles? You know what?
What'd you think?
I don't know, man.
I think you could have vehicles in the map. I'll
maybe
let's get Steel in here as far as his thoughts. I have a whole list of stuff I want to add in to the game. But Steel, what do you think as far as one, the Xbox marketing aspect, and two, what are your thoughts as far as what you'd like to see out of the Division 3?
As far as Xbox getting the marketing for the Division, I think it would be smart, just because, again, Xbox is the home of multiplayer gaming, for me at least, and that's my perspective on it. And I think that's kind of the brand that they've kind of established for themselves since they've been in gaming, right? Division has kind of been the main line, at least for me, as far as when I think of Ghost Recon or anything else, because I know I'm not going to get a true Ghost Recon again, right? Breakpoint and Wildlands are cool, but that's not the Ghost Recon that I'm looking for. But the Division is more in line with that, except it's a little bit more futuristic, right? But The Division for me is definitely one of my favorite games of all time overall, 1 and 2, just because I am a fan of that looter shooter style. Also, they also have some really great locomotion as far as how the game feels going cover to cover. The only other game that matches it or even gets close is Gears of War, right? And but even that's a completely different style of game, right? I can neither confirm or deny, for an example, from what we've heard from Heartland. I am under NDA for certain things, so I can't say, but I can neither confirm or deny whether things may be moving in the right direction. I do feel that Ubisoft is disconnected from its community, so that's the only thing that kind of gets me down for Division 3. Although having new people come up to the head and that do have good vision is a good sign. So hopefully things move in the right direction. As far as the Division 3, y'all were talking about location. I personally want the Division to have more density, right? For the PvE side of things, I need to be in and out of buildings more often. I need to have engagements across rooftops. So I think a setting like, again, from what we know of the virus from the Division, it's supposed to affect the globe. It's supposed to affect the world, right? So I don't see why we couldn't go to Japan, why we couldn't. And I only say Japan is because it's a dense city. You got a lot of action that can happen there. And for your third game, I think that would be the perfect opportunity. Not only that, but maybe you get the Yakuza involved somehow, and then you got all these territory clan kind of things going on while you're also trying to get these objectives done, along with dealing with the cleaners.
You gotta fit that in with the story, though, still, right? Like,
but they can you could do that. The virus is global, man. It's a global thing. It's not just
I'm not opposed to it, though. I don't want you to think I'm opposed to it, so because I'm not. I'm just trying to get your frame.
That's me going on the limb.
No, you get
that's me going on a limb. I mean, if you want to, it just depends on where they want to take it. If you want to keep it more so how the story has gone, I mean, you could go to a Colorado, you could go to a Denver, right, or so an area like that that has a lot of playground, maybe some mountains involved, maybe take you to some of the smaller cities. And I do think that they should have some form of traversal in there, at least to help elevate the gameplay, right? You have to do something different, because I do feel as far as your third person action that you have moment to moment, that's already for the most part nailed. Of course, I want more build diversity and such because it's been very pigeonholed, especially PvP wise.
Definitely.
To play a certain way. And if you don't grind, Division is a good example. If you don't grind for 100 hours and get certain gear, you're never going to have fun. And I think that's
that's true. That's true.
That's one thing that they have
thousands of hours in Division, promise you.
That's one thing that they have to find out. They have to also balance out that the dark zone. So that's another main thing for me, because that's what kept me coming back to the first Division, was that dark zone. Although you ran into people that probably played a lot, you could still get out there and compete and have a good time, especially with a group, if you put a little bit of time in,
Yeah, absolutely. Nice. You got to put some time in. I had a friend. Let me a quick story about the Division. I had a friend, and he didn't like the grinding portion of the Division.
I understand.
One of my other friends, like we had grinded at pause. That's all right. We was we had put a lot of time in, and we were pretty strong, and he didn't want to put the time in. So when we had a fight, we was playing with him, we would tell him, this sit in the back, man. Just kind of hide. Just sit in the back. But his ego said, no, I gotta come and get toe up every time, right? But he wound up dropping the game because he didn't like that. He couldn't be equal with us without
everybody, man.
Yeah. You gotta put time in. That's looters, bro.
Yeah, bro. Like you said, that game was about putting time in it. Yeah,
definitely. So I just kind of want to. Can I get my bars off?
I just don't
want to hijack the topic here, but me, I got to talk about Division, man. Chat, it's well documented. I am a Division junkie. I got thousands of hours. Me and Fuzz, this is my Division buddy right here live. So you got it, right hand to God. I was super excited for this, and it is odd. Dirt, Steel, I 100% agree. Just a tweet for something like this, we didn't even get like a new graphic. Can I get a new graphic? Can I get a Division 3 like graphic, like a logo, something, maybe a key art, something along those lines would be nice. Like, we didn't get anything, you just got a tweet, which is good. I mean, I'm excited, to be honest. This means that things are moving along. Maybe Eve, he got his checks cashed. So he's happy right now. Things are moving down the pipeline. I'm happy that the game is being made because let's be honest, Fuzz, we were one of the last of the Mohicans still grinding that game every single day. Everybody was playing everything else. Go check our time on Xbox Live. Me and Fuzz right now. We got the receipts. Me and Fuzz still on putting hundreds of hours into that game. So I'm super excited that we're finally getting one. Now, as far as a city, I ain't really thought about this much. It would be nice to go to more than one location to be able to do that. Like, I mean, you can pseudo do that in Division 2. You can kind of go back to New York. Portion of New York essentially in Division 2, but we're talking about bigger, better here. With them being able to make these huge games now, I'd love to see them do 2 locations, maybe 3, if we're lucky. Maybe something cool like that. Maybe have some type of ground traversal. Maybe we get ATVs or maybe dirt bikes. I don't know. That Snowdrop engine is pretty good. That's the one thing we got to give them credit for too. Dirt. That's one of the better engines. I would say from like a graphic standpoint. I don't know if you guys remember when Division 2 got that update for the X and S. That thing it's a pretty game.
It was good.
Like it's a pretty game. You got to go back and play it out. Chad, I don't know if you guys have done so, but go back and look at it right now. It's a really, really pretty game. That engine holds up very well with the optimizations for sure.
It's nice. Yeah, that engine is definitely nice.
Yeah. It's
even Division 1 now they have that 60 frames update as well. So both of them are buttery smooth, but the looks on Division 2, it's a sight to behold in comparison to when we first started playing it on the old Xbox One before the series came out. But yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. No, you're good, man. I'm excited. Like, we've been waiting for this, Fuzz. We've been grinding, playing the same damn game over and over again, hoping something happens. And to get this news, to get that they're actually working on it, for a big Division fan, I'm really, really excited for this game. It's day one immediately for me. I don't even need to think about this. You already know how I feel about the game.
Yeah.
It's probably in my top 5 games of all time, top 5 franchises of all time, Division 1, Division 2 for me. As far as the amount of time I played, especially the last 2 generations, there's probably no other game I put more time into between Division 1 and 2 in the last 2 systems. For real, like, just to be 100% honest, that's probably the biggest game, the game I played the most in the last 2 console generations. So go ahead, Fuss.
Oh no, for me, beyond excited for this announcement. I didn't like the fact that it was just a tweet, but it's better than nothing. But like, I'm hoping they take feedback from the community, and I'm hoping some of my ideas make it into the game. Like, I kind of made a suggestion about the call to the safe house between after the first one, and they kind of put it in too, and unfortunately nobody uses it. But I'm hoping these other suggestions kind of make it into the game, and one of them being seasons. Just because it's not a must have, but it should have snow. Like, there's something about the quietness of snow covered streets and just hearing like screams and gunfire way down the road or way down the street kind of thing that I remember from Division 1 that like sets it apart from all other games. And it's something that you can only get by revisiting Division 1. And I don't necessarily want to go back to Division 1, as frequent as I want to go back to Division 2. But if they could find a way to recreate that same seasonal, ambiance or whatever you want to call it, I would love for them to have that in the next game. Whether it's back in New York or it's, wintertime in Philadelphia or wintertime in Chicago or something to that effect. Wherever it snows, that's where they need to pick the next city. And then have a seasonal change. Like maybe winter is like 70% of the game and sunshine or possibly rain is the other 20 or 30% or so. But snow is almost like a must just because of the environment itself was awesome in the first one. The next big thing was kind of an idea that I had hoped that they had implemented in 2 was have it where it's a persistent world. Now they have this on the mobile game, Resurgence, I think it's called. And just like Destiny, you could see other players in the open world. And the reason why I would love for them to have that in like the light zone, quote unquote, versus because the dark zone, you already have that, but have it in the light zone So that way you can have public events, not to say to copy Destiny or anything like that, but I've always thought it would be cool, just like some of the trailers we saw before the game came out. Like you hear a trash truck a couple of streets or a couple of blocks down the street, and it pulls up, and there's like 3, heavies and a couple of flamethrowers and whatnot there. And that's like a public event that either your 4-man squad
would
and
be
a couple
dope.
other 4-man squads can like take down to get the loot. And I think that would be an awesome add-on, or have the LMB with APCs or the drones that we have in Division 2, but have it where it's a public event, and it like maybe there's a couple of drones that you have to shoot down type of thing, and it's going to take more than the normal 4-man squad. And I think having things like that pop up every so often would be kind of cool. Another thing I would love to see them do is have a survival mode at launch. Like survival was probably that guilty pleasure that I played. I know me and Blam didn't play it as much together, but that was one I played quite a bit beforehand, where there's like the PvP version, and then there was like the PvE-ish one. I mainly played the PvE-ish one, but there were a couple of people that I met early on for Division 1 that we do the PvP one for a good bit of times, and it was, the loot was worthwhile for some of the pistols and things like that. They need to have something like that for after you're fully geared up in the light zone and you're not quite ready to go into the dark zone. It's a good alternative to kind of get familiar with the map, which kind of will lead into my next suggestion, which I know has been a controversial one ever since Division 1, and that's to have both a PvPvE and a PvE dark zone. And let me explain why having both will kind of work things out without it, being a catering to one side or the other. Like keep your normal PvPvE dark zone that a majority of people like, but for like some of the people like with Dirt, one of your buddies that you would game with wasn't necessarily ready for running or keeping up with you as far as like with the gear and stuff.
Right.
Have the PvE version of the dark zone where it's for recon. So 1, you get used to the map, and 2, instead of it being extraction like with the PvPvE, there's no extractions. It's all for reconnaissance, but you can also get possibly blueprints. Now it's going to take you, like you could get this ultimate, assault rifle going into the dark zone just once. But if it takes you 10, 20, maybe 30 times going on some of these reconnaissance missions, you might get, intel for the blueprints for that same weapon. And then you'll have to grind for some of the material. So for the PvP guys that don't necessarily want to dilute the whole thing, this will make it easier to get more people to filter back into PvP, because the ones that aren't going to go face on and get murked as soon as they step into the dark zone, they will at least want to be able to get something decent. And it may take them longer to get to that point, but at least it gives a path that you will always be able to filter more people to the PvP. So that way it's not just the same 20 people that you're always shooting against. You'll have always like fresh blood coming in there because, well, they did the PvE one. They're familiar with the map, so they're not like they don't know where to go kind of thing. Plus, they have at least the blueprints that, it took them maybe 10 times or 100 times longer to get the same weapon, but at least it gives them an alternative that they can, try to get into the PvP aspect of it. And that way you always have a source of for the player base and get like fresh blood in there. But those are just a handful of things. There's a ton more stuff I'd like to
Fuzz
see.
got a scroll.
It sounds good.
It's a ton of stuff too. A lot, the build diversity, weapons, things like that. Obviously, drop raid, enemy diversity. I'd love to see a different type of enemy, maybe even a new faction. Maybe the people that are actually pulling the strings coming to play. Finally, the end boss. Maybe we finally get the people at the end of the rope. That would be great, right? To finally get kind of a conclusion. I think you end on 3. Maybe you don't need a Division 4. Maybe wrap the story up here. I think there's some Division has some underrated lore. The game actually has some pretty damn good lore. I know the story can get a bit cheesy. The plot can it can get a little cheesy. Let's not lie, but ultimately it is a bit underrated. Regarding its lore. And I want to say one thing about Division. It's been able to stand the test of time. People talk about Destiny. People talk about these other games. Division is actually has a pretty stable community, pretty large community still to this day. You can go find it on YouTube. You can see it, on Discord. You can see it on Reddit. A lot of these big places, hell, even on X, formerly known as Twitter. It still has a large community. You know what I mean? So they've been lucky to have made a game like Division 1 to be able to build such a community that stays with the game, that still sticks around, because they've pretty much bled this thing dry, right, Fuzz? Like there's really nothing else you can get out of Division 2 at this point. Like they've bled that orange all the way dry. There's nothing else left.
No, but I think one thing that kind of, I won't say worries me, but I'm hopefully I'm not spoiling Division 3, but I get the sense that if you weren't a rogue, you were in the wrong. Like that's where we find out that the SHD was actually the bad guys
that
all
we're
along.
actually the bad guys the entire time. You've been saying that M. Night Shyamalan type stuff is going on. In Division, right? I don't know. It could be.
Hey, you know what? Hey, can I say something real quick?
Yeah.
Has there ever been a more intense moment than an extraction when you got some real good stuff?
Man.
and you was like, man, and you just waiting for that damn plane to come. You like, come on, hurry up, man. I got some good stuff on here, man.
Looking around.
The tree.
Looking around.
So, bro, looking around, then you see somebody. Oh, hey, I see somebody. And then, like, sometimes somebody might be friendly, but oh, thank God they're friendly, But now
you can never be too sure, though, man. It's always nervous.
You never can
Don't
be
get
sure,
too close, man.
Bro,
stay over there.
Back up, bro. Hold on.
Back up.
I don't know you, man.
Yeah.
So the thing is,
was when they add where you could cut the rope. Like the minute that mechanic to cut the rope, it was
so dope.
Yeah, that made it even more intense. But it's like, I'm just putting stuff on the. Nope, he's cutting it. Get him.
Man, that was some of the most intense times, bro. Just like, wow.
Yeah. This is the game that, like Blam said, we've probably put in, I would say, almost like a month or more of gameplay time. Not just hours, not just days, but months worth of time into that game. Like I think the only game I've put more time into has been some of the Forza titles, but even that, it's like that's probably taken like 3 Forza titles to one Division title kind of thing. So, but man, good news all around as far as hearing about Division 3. Love your guys' takes on it. Man, can't wait until we hear more info. Hopefully, a trailer or some sort of vertical slice in a year or two. So fingers crossed.
Can't wait. Shout out to you, man. That's a W topic, man. I completely forgot about that. It's been a big week, man. There's a lot to talk about. That is a huge W for bringing that up, man. Thank you. That made my night for sure, getting into that, because I completely spaced that. So shout out to everybody in chat. Want to do some quick shout outs. Splendiferous, Oracular, Talos, ATL, everybody hanging out in chat. You guys are freaking amazing. Once again, retweet the link. Let everybody know the Shop Podcast is live, man. And if you're new here and you're enjoying the show, subscribe to the channel, man. We do this every single Saturday, man. Once again, shout out to Mr. Pong. So, and we will have another guest showing up here soon. He did confirm. What's up, Hell Hydra? Shout out to you coming through as well. But man, we got so much to talk about, Fuzz. I want to get into this Xbox at TGS stuff. I want to get into that too, because that's a big deal. And chat, obviously, this has been a huge year for Xbox. We'll get into the ABK stuff here too pretty soon, but TGS was, in my opinion, a very, very, very great show a very good show for Xbox. A lot of what I wanted to see. They're making their presence known at these shows. This is probably the most consistent year for Xbox as far as presence. They've taken every show seriously this year. No show has really been like half baked. I would say from the Direct, which kind of set the tone, right? Would you say the Developer Direct kind of set the tone for the beginning of the year? So if they continue, we said it too. Shout out to Pong. He kind of started this whole horse, you know what I mean, regarding if they continue doing that, if we get these type of shows at this type of quality and they do this at every single event, that's how you build momentum. That's how you build culture. That's how you get to the place Sony's at. That's how you get to the place Nintendo's at, just regarding like legacy and how people view you. That's how you do it. You just do the right thing, as often as you can possibly do it. So we'll start with you on this one, Steel. Just Xbox at TGS. I don't know if you want to break down like anything specific out of there that you'd like to see, just overall the presence of Xbox at the show, their event, just kind of go through it.
So TGS for me, again, there wasn't real any main hitters for me per se, but more so seeing Sega's presence there again, I think solidifies that partnership is in a very healthy place, right? Again, I am in favor of Sega in many ways because I am a Sega boy. Sonic's my guy.
Same.
But
Say that again, my guy.
Oh yeah,
Thank you.
me too, baby. Let's go.
Oh, yeah, let's
absolutely.
go.
I need that
We
back
in
at
here.
home.
We
But
in here.
but it's cool to see those players with Yakuza come in and whatnot because again, that's diversity. You want to try to level out some things that are going to pull people from the East in, right? The other thing from TGS from me, and I'm trying to think specifically what it was, because they did say that what was that? Not Sea of Stars. It was another Octopath Traveler 2. They announced that was actually coming to Xbox because I thought that was a missed opportunity for people who played the first game that came into Game Pass or just came to Xbox in general. And the second game didn't at first. I thought that was weird. But those are some of the main takeaways from TGS. Again, I do believe they showed Final Fantasy Rebirth there too. That wasn't at that specific show per se.
Yeah.
But that was another key point because we got some additional gameplay, what we're expecting to see from that this week. But yeah, those are my main things for me.
Okay. No, once again, I think the big thing here, and I think this is just the ultimate highlight. I mean, we can pick the particulars, but the big thing for me personally is their persistence in Japan. Phil's never going to give up in Japan. Like, I think that's more so what this is. I think that matters more than anything. Like almost any announcements that they can make, they're committed to doing something over there. They're committed. Phil's committed. The entire team's committed. Hell, Satya's committed to building something over there.
There's something I want to add on to that though, because that was the other thing that I wanted to check on. Wanted to make sure the Elder Scrolls Online is getting Japanese localization, so that adds on to exactly your point, PTK. And that was something that I brought up this morning on Live a Split Screen, that seeing things like that happen, especially in an ecosystem or in an area that is very heavily on MMOs and things of that nature, because the Eastern Coast loves that. They go to computer cafes and whatnot, and they play those things. So to see that localization get pushed over there, I think is also going to be an additional thing for to bring people into Game Pass or just in the Xbox ecosystem overall. So again, it's just all moves in the right direction. Adding on to what you were saying.
Oh, absolutely, 100% true. I just think that's always been a big thing because, you know, I've always been an advocate of them trying as hard as they can to do something over there because I think there's always been an opportunity. Yeah. Why not? They got great relationships with a majority of the devs over there, right? Outside of Sony themselves and maybe Square, they fuck with everybody over there. They got great relationships, so why not make that connection? And there's a lot of talent. You can do a lot of things. There's a lot of opportunity, if anything, with Xbox. Dirt, wouldn't it be something to call yourself like the first Japanese studio to get it popping on Xbox? Wouldn't that be something?
Yeah, man, of course.
I think that means something. I don't know. Maybe I'm tripping.
No, it does, because look, man, like you said, the persistence, because even myself, at one point, I made me late in the Xbox One generation. I was like, man, look, man, Phil Spencer, just pull out of Japan. They don't rock out with Xbox.
Right.
Just pull out of Japan. And obviously I was wrong, because even though they're still not killing it in Japan, they're trying to make the platform more enticing to the Japanese audience. Clearly, that's what their goal is. They've been having a show at TGS for the last few years, right? I mean, PlayStation hasn't even done that. Yep. So it's like they're really, they're like announcing the titles that cater to the Japanese audience. They're putting some of these titles in Game Pass, and I believe Phil Spencer and his team, they're hoping that the Japanese audience will give Xbox a try, because Game Pass is a great service. We have these types of games in Game Pass. We have Western games in Game Pass. Whatever you guys want, we have it. We have the Xbox Series S. That's a nice affordable console if you guys don't want to spend too much money on the more powerful X. And I felt that the show was actually, it was pretty good. I do remember last year's show, in my opinion, being a little better. Mm-hmm. If I remember vividly. I don't remember why I thought it was better, but I remember feeling that last year's show was better. Okay. But it was still a solid show some pretty nice announcements for content on Xbox. So yeah, man, I love that they are still trying to just get the audience to give them a chance. Just give them a chance. You know, I know the Switch is huge over there. I know PlayStation is huge. Just give us a chance. And by doing these shows, and you know what's funny about you say these shows, they have content, man. You know, there are some times we couldn't talk about that last generation.
That's crazy. Let's
have
talk about
content.
that, Dirt. We got to make sure we bring that up.
Yeah. And they're able to have these shows. And like you said, I believe the Developers Direct started this year off with a bang. And if you talk about 2022 and some of those emails that leaked, Phil Spencer was not happy with that. But they definitely had a hell of a year this year, with the exception of Redfall. But I enjoy Redfall myself personally. But with the exception that was pretty much the only knock on Xbox this year, right? So they had a pretty solid year, and I thought TGS added to the great year, man. So yeah, it was fun.
Okay, well, I appreciate that, man. Great breakdown. This is interesting, man. And Dirt, still, you know, we talk about Japan, you know, being this territory, like so much talent, so much history, right? Like Xbox has so much history with the OG Xbox, with the 360. Like some of us want them to reach back and grab some of that. I think, you know, obviously with the leaked documents, things like that, Phil explicitly came out and said, look, there's some games, and I believe I saw the tweet today. I think Idle Sloth, shout out to Idle, I believe he mentioned it today. He put out a tweet, Phil, saying, look, there's some unannounced Japanese stuff we got going on over there. There's some games we got that are cooking up in the oven over there. Shout out to Idle. You can go look for it, or if somebody got the link, go ahead and throw it in chat. Would it be even better? But definitely they're cooking up over there, and they're not letting go of this territory. And that's crazy to say, because I'm with you, Dirt. There was a point in time, and I'm not gonna lie here to you guys. There was a point in time where I said the same thing, Dirt. I'm like, you know what? It might just be better if you take those resources and shift and move those resources elsewhere. Because Japan, like you said, it didn't feel like it would ever really, really happen. But slowly and surely, chat, like it kind of like things every year things feel a little bit different. You know, the showcase comes around, we get more and more announcements from over there, more and more partnerships, more and more firsts. You know what I mean?
Yep. Final Fantasy 14 finally coming to the platforms. Crazy, man.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Fuzz.
Oh yeah, like first they kind of reiterated some of the stuff that was coming to Game Pass, or some of the stuff that's coming soon to Game Pass for that region, which I know it probably doesn't seem like that big of an announcement to talk about Forza over there, or Party Animals DLC and things like that. But the one thing I've noticed ever since Starfield is released, like if you ever look at like Xbox shares on any games, there usually isn't many that are in Japanese. And Starfield is like that first title. I've seen over 100 unique people on the X platform, or X.com, you know, posting their pics and, you know, video clips and things like that of Starfield, of the fun that they're having. So obviously this is one of those games that kind of broke through. And something like Party Animals, I know it seems silly, but it's a game that will probably do well there as well, because it's that party game that's you don't take serious, you have fun with it. And those are the kind of games that seem to do well there. That's why, you know, what was it? Fall Guys did well there. There was also like a battle, like almost like a Rampage game, but I can't remember the name of it. But it had like robots versus like Godzilla-like creatures and things like that. So having something like Party Animals show at their showcase will probably be a nice little, you know, notch to get people to sign up for Game Pass. And whether they play it on their phone or some other mobile device, it'll definitely, you know, help things over there. And then, you know, some of the games that we've wanted on Xbox for a while, like they talked about Persona 5 Tactica coming to Game Pass in November. They also talked about Like a Dragon, Inshin coming to Game Pass, and Gaiden coming to Game Pass. And then they talked about, you know, Like a Dragon, Infinite Wealth. Now, they didn't mention anything about it coming to Game Pass at launch or anything like that, but more than likely in a matter of probably 3 to 6 months, they'll probably hit Game Pass as well. But, you know, highlighting some of the games from that area or from developers in that area is great. Having PUBG on their stage as well still is great because of that region. It seems like that's one of the games that still has staying power over there as far as Battle Royale. Plus, like you said, with Phil's tweet in reference to, or not Phil's tweet, but like Ilesloft making, doing the quote from Phil about how there's a lot of studios over there making games that aren't announced yet for Xbox. They've definitely grown their presence there. They've definitely stuck to it, and it's starting to pay off. In fact, I think there was a tweet earlier today from Phil about going to visit Kojima and checking on that project that he has with Xbox. So there's a lot of thing in the works over there. One of the things I was hoping that would get announced on their stage, but it might be a little too soon, would be like a Scarlet Nexus 2 kind of thing. But that hopefully is probably something that I think it was Bandai that made that. So hopefully that'll be something for next year, possibly. But it was great seeing that they're still making headway there. There's still a lot of work to do there, but they're still making headway, and that's great to see for a region, like you said, because I was kind of on that fence as well, where it's like, yeah, the resources would probably be better spent, focusing on the console, I guess the home country here as far as with Xbox, where at least they're closer to not a 1-to-1, but a lot closer to a 1-to-1 than a lot of people will lead you to believe type of thing. But yeah, it's great to see. Hopefully they continue to put the work in and we reap the rewards here shortly. But yeah, Wolong DLC, a lot more games coming to our platform. Square seems like they're on board now with their new leadership. Was kind of preparing myself if there was going to be an announcement for Square being acquired, but hey, it starts with a partnership. So with them, bringing more titles to Xbox, much like with the partnership with Sega, we'll see how things turn out, and maybe them and Sega wind up being part of the Xbox family before too long. But it's great to see that they're putting in a lot of effort there, and it's paying off.
Definitely. Let me go ahead and get to this quick $5 super chat from Adidas. Shout out to you, man, with a $5 super chat. He said, "What's up, Xbox family? Xbox about to take over. Dirt brought me here." So Dirt brings the people out, man. Shout out to you.
What's up,
for coming
Adidas?
through. Appreciate it, man. Thank you so much. But yeah, man, I kind of want to double back on Steel on this one as well too. With what's the end result here for Japan, right? What's that picture look like for you? And I know obviously you don't live in Japan still, but just right, just from your perspective, we're taking that RTS view, right? Just to kind of steal that for, if I can borrow that from it for a little bit still. Taking an RTS view and kind of taking a step back and like what's the like best case scenario for Xbox in Japan for you?
I think the best case scenario for them is going to be in the handheld market. It's just not going to be on their own device. It's going to be on something like the ROG Ally, them cutting deals with that. Because again, you have to remember Microsoft needs to be a software company first. And as long as they accomplish that goal, get cloud running the way that they need it to, the first place that you're really going to get that popping is going to be a place like Japan, where the internet infrastructure is leagues above anything that we have here, right? They are always on the move. Their cell data is of much better quality than what we have here. So if they can really get that cloud infrastructure, like the other thing too with Bethesda, what was that called? The Orion tech that they had, I believe so. I think I know what you're talking about. It was something to that nature, because it was rumored that Bethesda also had ideas of bringing some form of streaming service, and apparently theirs was ahead of the time too, kind of the level of Google Stadia as far as quality goes and whatnot. So I don't know. There's a lot of things that they can implement to really give them some leeway there, because outside of Nintendo having a grip, and if all the rumors about Nintendo are also true, we see the emails from that too, right? Xbox kind of playing nice a little bit with one of the biggest players in the industry. Mm-hmm. And if they can play nice with Nintendo and possibly get Game Pass on that device also, whether that's the Switch 2 or they figure out to get it on the first Switch, either or both, that's also going to give them a lot of headroom and make Nintendo even more money because boom, you're going to be selling more consoles. So it's kind of like hand in fist with each other. But that's kind of how I see it. It's going to be handheld for them because of how they game. So
okay. All right, I'm gonna throw that same question to you, Dirt, and then I'm gonna throw that to you as well, too, Fuzz. So, Dirt, like best case scenario, I know, like you said, we're Xbox fans, through and through. But for best case scenario for you for Xbox in Japan,
I agree with what Steele said. Best case scenario for Xbox in Japan is not selling hardware because that's going to be difficult for them. But I believe they know their software is the key there, and we know mobile is a big thing over there. That's maybe part of the reason they want. I mean, that's the main reason Phil said they want Activision Blizzard. Mobile is huge over there. Getting their games on mobile, the internet is better over there. Like Steel Ring said, getting some of their games on cloud through Xbox Game Pass, having the type of the type of software that's enticing over there. They like certain style of games, and Xbox knows that, and they're trying to, increase their portfolio with JRPGs, other types of games, and you have to cater to the audience, and that's what they're trying to do. So I believe software is the key over there. They're not going to sell too many Xbox consoles unless something changed. They're not going to sell too many Xbox consoles, but like the Yakuza franchise, they have a great relationship with Sega. I love it. For years, those games were not going to Xbox, and all of a sudden, these games are now dropping day one, and some of them are dropping in Game Pass day one. So
day one,
yeah. So the software, I believe, is the key. Like the PC Game Pass to regular Game Pass and using on mobile, and maybe they will sell some consoles over there, but I believe software is that's the
way in.
Yep,
for sure. No, I 100% agree at this point. Like you said, so hardware is going to be extremely tough. They're embedded in. Nintendo's embedded in. PlayStation's embedded in. They got home field advantage. That's tough to overcome. They're doing better, obviously getting some type of home base, getting maybe a publisher over there. We've always talked about this, to kind of be your de facto home base in Japan, because there's really only one way to know what Japanese gamers want, and that's to be over there every single day. You know what I mean? Like around gamers, seeing what they want. And I don't know if Xbox has that presence, yet. And I think there's leagues and they're taking huge jumps. I think who did they just hire recently? Didn't they just open up a Xbox Japan office?
They hired though. I'm sorry, I don't know her position, but she used to work for Sony.
Yep.
And now she's with
They
Xbox.
her,
Yeah, she's over maybe some type of marketing or something over there.
Yep. And as you can see, our fifth member just jumped in here. What's up, Mav?
Style. What up?
What's up, man?
Sony has no games again like last week. Let's go.
Oh my!
I love it.
Oh goodness
TGS,
gracious, man! Kicking the damn door in, Mav. How you feeling, brother?
Oh, I'm good. Just got done playing a board game.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wait, BOARD?
Yeah, BOARD.
Okay, I just wanted to double check
because my daughter was BORED.
Oh, I like that. Nice.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, that's what they are for. That's why they're called board games, I think.
Yeah. So we I don't know if you heard or caught what we were talking about. Did you catch what we were talking about? Xbox, TGS, Japan. So basically, just kind of in a nutshell, Mav, and I'll throw this question to you. It's gonna be, what's the best case scenario for Xbox in Japan for you as a fan, Mav? I know you don't live over there, you know what I mean, but just ultimately, what could you see best case scenario for Xbox in Japan?
Best case scenario in Japan actually would be to actually make another acquisition of one of these larger publishers. I think they need to have some of the bigger exclusives again, like they did in the 360 era, Lost Odyssey and
Blue Dragon.
Blue Dragon, the games like that, which they had some good comments today. Phil actually talked about that there's projects they have in development with partners that haven't been announced yet. So and that was directly as a question regarding games like Lost Dragon and Lost Odyssey and Blue Dragon, right? Yep. So that's promising, knowing that they already have those things in the works. Tokyo Game Show was cool. It just didn't have any of the bigger announcements that I was really excited for Xbox, like for the Japanese style games. I love JRPGs and stuff like that. But the ones that I cared about the most, we've already seen, quite a few times. So, but yeah, if they get like, and I think a move would be like a Square, Enix, and I know it's not gonna like tickle everybody's fancy.
Yeah, you
right?
damn right. What the hell? I fully expected you to say Sega, man. What is
Well,
going
here's
on?
the thing. I think that they're less worried about Sega being acquired by another company because Sega is in a great position themselves. They have this long-standing cloud partnership deal with them as well. And I don't see like Sony being able to acquire somebody like Sega, but I could see potentially Sony being able to acquire a Square Enix. And with Square Enix's position being down like 30% right now, it's interesting that the partnership is all of a sudden getting stronger again with Square, right? As this Activision Blizzard thing is starting to wrap up, right? You see that, you see them starting to talk to Xbox fans more at the Tokyo Game Show. You saw the Square Enix guy coming like, oh yeah, we love Xbox now. We're gonna bring the games to Xbox. Octopath Traveler 2 is coming to Xbox, and Final Fantasy stuff's to Xbox. I think they're trying to go ahead and set that precedent. And for Microsoft, you got to look at it like, okay, we're in a good place with Sega, and we're going to keep being in a good place with Sega. We got that locked up. We're not really worried about anybody else acquiring Sega. Whereas Square Enix is heavily, easily acquirable right now based on the position that they're in, and I think they may be actually looking for somebody to actually maybe be a partner or acquire them, right? So
Yeah.
it could come down to like somebody making an offer for them, and then the sides both get to weigh in, and then eventually Square takes whatever the best offer is. So at that point, it's like, what do you get out of it, right?
Mhm.
I look at it like the Final Fantasy franchise is big, Dragon Quest is big, as well. And you got a history of making other games like Octopath Traveler and all those kind of things that would be good for Game Pass, games that have previously been more heavily on Nintendo.
Yeah.
Um, and those kind of games would be great for subscription service that you're trying to grow and appease your Japanese and Asian audiences more as well, right? So if they're trying to grow and make strides in the East, then I think Square is a really good move. And also they
Yeah.
have a big mobile presence over there.
Yeah. No,
So
I 100% agree with you, man, because I think really for Xbox at this point in time, there's only so many ways that they could get in the Japanese market and really make some real headway, right? At this point in time, they've been around the market for forever. It's not like this is a new market to them. So they've tried different things, and I think, like you said,
yeah,
software is going to be the way. Handheld is interesting. I know. Steele mentioned that. That's a cool way too. Maybe third party stuff. I agree with the software stuff. I think software is going to be the way that they get in. I mean, outside of latching yourself to like the next up and coming, Pokemon like game or something that's going to be that huge. There's really very few ways for them to crack into that market. Like you said, they got to
yeah,
be real. They got to be real strategic with it, And I didn't think. I obviously think they got a better relationship with Sega, and one thing you got to notice too, they've kind of mended their bridges with everybody over
yeah.
there.
Well,
There's
the
really
Capcom
nobody.
too. Like Capcom's like doing a
Exactly.
lot of stuff with Xbox
Path of
now.
the Goddess, all that
Yeah.
kind of stuff
So
coming.
you look at it like
So
acquisition.
Primer was on Game Pass.
Yeah,
Yep.
you look
Yeah.
at acquisition. Also, Capcom has another game that's coming to Game Pass day one as well. That
Yeah.
other new JRPG. But you look at like what is acquisition targets. Usually with Microsoft, it's been companies that are in the need of being acquired or they're down, right? They're looking for the value there with the acquisition based on like what they see them worth as of what they can acquire them for. Like it came out in the documents that they valued ZeniMax Bethesda at 10 billion. They got them for 7.5, right? They acquired ABK for way less than ABK should have been worth because of the hit that they took because of all their issues and stuff. So Square right now just came out that they were down 30%, right? Down 30%. Their exclusivity deals they've been doing aren't working for them. And I got to be honest, as much as I want to have Sega, like we're in a great place on the Xbox ecosystem with Sega. Tons of games coming to Game Pass day one. Even more Yakuza stuff coming. All these other things are happening with Sega, and there's such a good place with there. I'm looking at it as like the biggest impact for me, like what would actually make the biggest change, right? And I think that would be the acquisition of Square. And then the other side of this, I just got to be there for the salt when they do
goodness.
it. And the
He took his shirt off.
The
Put your shirt on, Mav. God darn, I know we're not on camera. Put your shirt on, Mav.
The PlayStation fans will lose their minds the day that they announce that Xbox has acquired Square Enix, because Square is one of the last holdouts of these big games that have been exclusive for third-party companies. They've heavily marketed them in tandem with the PS5 generation. You have your Forspokens, you have your Final Fantasy games. They even had Babylon's Fall was published by Square, even though that was a tragedy. But there's a lot of stuff that they've been doing and treating them almost like as another arm of Sony in a way for getting exclusive content on the PlayStation. And the day that Microsoft announces that, oh my God, they're like, oh, they took another one from us. Screw Xbox. I'm gonna love it.
That's a self-inflicted wound. Square's, death by 1,000 cuts, right? And then they turn around and act like, I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened. Like,
we've been criticizing their dumbass business decisions for years, right?
Man, look, every time a game has come out, pretty much this entire generation, even games that done well, even games that overshot what they thought, games like Guardian of the Galaxy that actually were fantastic games, they even said those games didn't hit their mark.
Yeah.
That didn't really hit. That missed the mark, even though it got some Game of the Year consideration and universally was touted as a very, very good game. It didn't hit the mark. So,
and I think Square is going to eventually be acquired by somebody, right? So that's the thing.
Okay, chat. Where we at, chat? Let me just get a poll on this real quick, man. Where we at on Square getting acquired by somebody? Because it's always kind of been Sony. That's always been a talk, Sony, because of the relationship. But I see that's shifted, man.
Yeah, well, you got to think maybe like, okay, so at the time, right? Is think back to the history of what happened with Square. You had a couple years back. Square shows up on stage. Yeah, we have a new partnership with Xbox. It seemed like there was stuff going. There's been rumblings behind the scenes, and Jez Corden even talked about this before, that maybe there was a change of plans with Microsoft. They ended up getting ZeniMax Bethesda at the time. It took Square a little bit off the table then, and then the Xbox goes and get ABK. All of a sudden, now you have Square doing these exclusive deals again with PlayStation, right? Square's getting hurt financially. They're losing money. All this kind of stuff. They're hoping that Sony saves them. At this time, though, Xbox is in hands with ABK. Now, if Sony goes and acquires Square, that completely shoots down their case to try and block the ABK deal from Xbox. Could you imagine Sony in Japan, headquartered in Japan, having 98% market share in Japan, buying Square Enix and trying to claim that it's bad for Microsoft to buy ABK? Right. So at that point,
a good point.
They're playing weak. Microsoft's playing weak. They can't go out. So Square Enix is kind of strung along in this process. Now, all of a sudden, ABK gets clearance. The FTC thing failed. All this stuff. And it's the timing of the new Square Enix partnerships and the new Square Enix games goes all kind of hand in hand with this goody feely moment now again with Xbox leading up to this closing of ABK. Right. So I'm just reading the tea leaves like Fuzzy likes to do.
I'm gonna go out on a limb here. And I want everybody to chime in. I'm gonna go out on a limb with that take because I think there is a world in which because that's a real possibility, and you just laid it out, man, right? Like you kind of laid everything out, said this is like a realistic thing. Square can actually be purchased. There's a world in which that happens, right? In this world that we're talking about, man, I think that there's a scenario where Xbox flinches and Sony just overpays for Square.
Yeah, there will be a bidding war at that point because whenever these acquisitions happen, they have to take the offer and try and allow for other proposals from other companies and offers from other companies, and just like ABK did, they had to make that clear. There was ended up being 4 companies that were involved, and then Microsoft had the best offer. So if Microsoft makes them an offer that they have to take to the board, they have to shop it around and stuff, right? So at that point, Sony's gonna probably put in a bid. You're gonna have this stuff. And that's the best way for Square Enix to inflate their value, right? So, who knows who it'll be? I think it'll be somebody is going to eventually get Square. I mean, they're down right now. They're down big, and they don't really have. What do they have coming besides Final Fantasy VII Rebirth?
I mean,
and that's a timed exclusive, also, right? So, how many are they going to sell of that? Is it going to save their company? I don't really think so.
Forspoken 2 was on the way.
Oh my God!
Oh, here we go. Dirt.
Oh, they got foam. Hey, man, they got foam stars. You better show
Yeah.
some damn respect. You better show some
Man,
respect.
Square Enix is so stupid. They sold Eidos Montreal and Crystal Dynamics for pennies on the dollar to Embracer Group.
And Embracer,
Just think
they can't even keep them now.
Just think about how much hype there would be if Square Enix had announced like this year, like a Guardians of the Galaxy 2, right?
Yeah.
It would have been so much hype around that, but they just didn't get it. You know, they just didn't understand the business of the Western business, right? So
Yeah.
if somebody like Microsoft owns them, though, they're gonna understand the Western business.
So I want to get Steel in here on this. Steel, my brother, can give me some clearance and clarification here, just on like, I know we talked about Square obviously being I don't say the big fish in the room, but as far as like that's the most obvious publisher right now. They're in the most obvious position to be purchased out of all the ones in Japan, I would say, right? It's pretty obvious that they're in the most dire position and they seem right for the picking, so to speak. So do you think that like I know I mentioned Xbox flinching and PlayStation buying them, I think being a more likely scenario. Do you think even Xbox buying them is even on the table at all? Like that's something like realistically that could happen?
I think it could happen for sure. I mean, again, if you throw enough money at Square, I think Square's a hooker at this point. If you got the bread, she's ready to dance, bro. She put the hula hoop on for you and everything.
To put the numbers out there, still in May, Square Enix was worth market cap wise $6 billion, right?
What is
and a half. And right now they're worth 4.09. They've lost over 30% of their market share in a few months, right? They're in a very vulnerable spot right now. In fact, they haven't been this low since 2018.
So you said Sony ain't even been leaving the money on the nightstand?
Oh, no.
They don't want to put a ring on it.
No wonder they couldn't afford to pay the royalties to the
Sony leaving an
Outriders.
IOU on the nightstand. That's crazy.
Hey,
We'll
when
call
you
the
got
Uber.
frames mode on Final Fantasy 16 is only 40 frames. Hey, you got bigger things you got to worry about, man. That money ain't adding up. Somebody ain't getting their bills paid. But no, I mean, I only think that it's a main possibility for Xbox because I'd like to see Xbox do what we saw back in the day. That what was it? Oh God, I can't think of the tagline. I completely just blanked out, but whatever. It's the competition of it that I really want to see come back. The aggressive nature of it. Hey, now we got Square Enix. Now what? What are you going to rely on now? Because Square Enix for them has, for PlayStation at least, has filled in a lot of the gaps that Sony has had. You know, if you talk about Final Fantasy 16, people talk about it like it is a first-party game for them. And they use it for their conversation pieces and proof that Sony does have good games. So, I mean, again, I want it to happen more so for the funny side of things versus it making sense for anything. But again, I mean, I do think it would put Xbox in a good spot, but Sega makes more sense as far as Xbox's overall play. So
I agree, man.
Hey, still, Rain, you know what's so funny, bro? They use Final Fantasy in their conversations, but they was doing that with Forspoken initially.
Yep.
Yep. Until it dropped. And, oh, wait, that's not first party. Get out of here.
Nah. I mean, again, and I thought Forspoken was an okay game, but was it a game that would represent your console well? Like you were like you want every other game to do for the Xbox ecosystem? I guess not.
Yeah, I don't know. It's an interest. Go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. Somebody in the chat. Hey, Jay Primo, don't start calling me Black Lavender.
I'm out.
Oh my goodness, man. Shout out to you, Jay Primo, man. Shout out to the chat, man. You guys have been popping off in here, man. I appreciate you guys hanging out with us. Hope you guys are enjoying the show, man. We're just talking a little bit about Xbox over in Japan, just TGS, just the overall opinions of the show over there. You know what? I'm mad. We missed out on something. Nobody mentioned the obvious game of the generation that also got some information at TGS as well.
Foam Stars?
No.
Oh,
yeah.
No, absolutely not. Man, can you guess, man, what I'm talking about? Do you think
Dragon's Dogma 2?
No. What?
Oh, what are you talking about?
It's
You
a good
talking about
Oh, come. Power World, man. What's wrong with you?
Oh,
Come on,
that's
man.
a fact.
Oh,
Power
You
World.
talking
Pokemon
about-
guns?
Yeah, the obvious. How dare you guys forget? This is you see what I'm dealing with, chat? You see what I'm working with here? Golly,
my
this is
bad.
blasphemy.
I'm sorry.
Thank you, man.
I can't
Can we
believe
get a little bit
I
of
forgot that game.
exactly? Can we please?
Yeah,
Golly.
Pal World, yeah. I'm excited.
That's
Power
that
World's
game
an
that's a
amazing
mixture
game,
of Pokemon and
Yeah,
GTA.
Max Payne.
Yeah.
I'm
Pokemon
gonna
and Max
try it
Payne.
out. I'm gonna try it out. Does it have bullet time?
You know what? I don't know. I don't. The gunplay. I don't know. It might have
Hold on,
bullet
grab
time.
it.
I'm not sure. I
Yeah.
mean,
No, it doesn't have bullet time.
no bullet, no bullet
No.
time. I don't know. You never know with that game, my dude. You never know, man. But
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'll play it. I'll play it for sure.
you will for
Yeah.
sure. You'll stream it.
I stream Trombone Champ for sure.
Oh
I'll
shit,
stream,
that's right. I
Pal
forgot
World.
about the trombone stuff.
Yeah.
See, Pong is not on the square. He's not here, so to remind me of stuff like that happens throughout
Yeah.
the week. But yeah, okay. So you heard it here, chat first. He's gonna stream Power World. You heard it here
Wait,
first.
it is in Game Pass, right? Yeah, right.
I believe so.
Okay. Yeah, I ain't buying it. So.
Oh well, yeah. Okay.
Well,
that's
I mean,
fair.
maybe I would. Maybe I would. I don't know. Like, I gotta see what it's all. I'm not a huge Pokemon guy. You know what I mean? I don't have like a collection of Pokeballs in my house,
But
and
they have
Pokemon
guns, man.
cards. and
They
stuff.
have guns. That's all you really.
Well,
need to know.
exactly. So it looks interesting. You know.
Yeah.
So maybe I'll be into it.
maybe so, man. But yeah, I just wanted to make sure we didn't miss the obvious game of the generation that was showed there as well too. No, but I mean we can get into some chat stuff. I know there's some other stuff that happened throughout the week. I do want to talk about the part of the documents to leak. We obviously got the big obviously news, and I think this isn't news for anybody that understand what happened when Xbox purchased Bethesda. ZeniMax was that ES6 is exclusive to Xbox, and people were actually pretty surprised by that still. And I think we're this is a perfect panel to kind of get into that. We can obviously start with you, Steel. Just on that whole people are still surprised about that still.
Oh, what was that? One more time. I had to step away. Sorry.
No, Elder Scrolls 6 being exclusive, essentially.
Oh,
being
I don't.
confirmed. Now
People are capping, dog. They're not surprised by it. They're just they want to use it. They're trying to bring it up again as an argumentative point. And see, look at Xbox. I told you they're gonna take over the globe and make everything exclusive, and then shut down 4 years from now. So Elder Scrolls 6 being exclusive definitely isn't surprising. And again, anybody who thought that it was definitely was they smoking on that good, and I need your plug. But it's interesting to see people spinning narratives to help fit whatever conversation that they want to use. Again, that's why I more so fit within that RTS scope, looking at everything more so from a pulled out perspective. Like it's like I'm in the space shuttle I'm Starfield, right? I'm looking at the planets, man. I'm traveling in between the planets. I don't need the load time. So people aren't going to play these games anyway. That's the other thing that bothers me about a lot of the arguments is like somebody like me who's not a Bethesda dude. I am the Bethesda casual. I can openly say, hey man, these games sound those are cool and whatever, and I'm excited for the people that are into them, but I'm probably not going to play it. And everybody else treats it like, oh man, I'm so mad because I was going to buy the game and play it day one. I'm so mad. Although Xbox gives me more ways to play it than anybody else. That's crazy. I'm mad, man. I got a $5,000 PC though, so holla.
It's crazy to me that like, and the angles that I still see, the perspective that I still see people take, like, well, Phil didn't really say specifically that this was going to be like, come on, like you understand the ink wasn't dry. After Phil couldn't say anything at that point in time about he couldn't make any specific, or give any specific information at that time. The deal hadn't been finalized yet. So obviously he was being extremely vague about what was going on and what their intentions were as best as he could. And I thought we understood that as adults, but I guess not. I think some people missed the boat on that. But let's go ahead and throw this over to Dirt, man. Get your opinion on this. Obviously, Dirt, It's perfect week, like I said, to have you here chiming in on this nonsense, Dirt. We got to get this stuff. We got to get this stuff out in the light, man. We can't keep having people running around talking crazy, making bold statements, saying, you know, non-factual stuff. So where you at on this? Elder Scrolls being exclusive, people acting surprised like this really wasn't the plan from the beginning.
Listen, Still Rain already said it. They really wasn't surprised, man. They really wasn't surprised. He know what's going on. It's coping. They're like, nah. They, you know, this game, this is not fair. They're just taking, you know, it's entitlement. These guys are entitled. They feel PlayStation deserves everything.
Yeah.
Even though Xbox bought ZeniMax, they still feel that these games should be on PlayStation. I did a video about this topic, and I still see, even after Starfield numbers, we heard the great success that Xbox and Bethesda had with Starfield. Amazing numbers. I still saw journalists, Derek Strickland, say, to be honest, I think it's a big mistake if Xbox does not put Elder Scrolls 6 on PlayStation. I'm like, come on, man. Why do they feel like Xbox still needs PlayStation to sell their games? Stop it. So it's something that's just annoying at this point, because ever since 2020, man, I vividly remember seeing constant tweets. I was doing videos, other content creators doing videos about Bethesda games. Phil Spencer, even when Phil Spencer had that roundtable in early 2021, when he said it's about great exclusive games for, I want to let Xbox fans know it's about exclusive games for Xbox, wherever Game Pass exists. People still was like, yeah, he lying. It's going to be on this. And I was like, man, come on, bro. So they're still in denial, man. Elder Scrolls 6 is still about 4-5 years away. And when it releases, it is not going to be on PlayStation. Flat out, man. So these guys, they need to get over it, man.
You know what's crazy? You know what's crazy about this whole thing is that they got a company called Insomniac that actually made an Xbox game.
Yep.
That actually made an Xbox exclusive game. Xbox exclusive, mind you, that Insomniac took to Sony first, and Sony said, no, we want the whole game. Insomniac said, no, we want to actually own the game.
Exactly.
And Xbox said, yeah, sure, you can bring it over here. You can have it. Like, you can own the game. We just want it on the platform. That's how Sunset Overdrive became exclusive. But people have an issue with the Bethesda situation. Look, man, it's business, baby. We got to come to grips with what's going on here. You want to talk about people competing? This is how you spend money. We want to talk about them acting like who they are. I've heard that so many different ways for so many different years. Dirt. Xbox need to act like who they actually are, right? This big behemoth, and
they need to
run around and open it up
a company.
like Daddy Warbucks running around buying every goddamn thing up. You know what I mean? Like, then they're essentially doing that. Now, obviously, it's strategic. They're not just running around just buying anything. It's very strategic, right? So, and they're not going to stop doing that. And to see this narrative still floating around when it's been debunked from the head down, like Satya's damn near came out and said, look, y'all not getting these games. Like, get Game Pass. Like, that's really where we're at this point. And why do we need to keep this train going? Why do we need to still asking and bringing up the narrative that this potentially can go elsewhere, and there's another plan, and look, there's a secret hidden agenda that this stuff is still going to come to PlayStation, and like, but you guys got to get with the time. That's not what's going on here. So Fuzz, I kind of want to get your opinion on this, bro.
Yeah. Like Dirt and like Steel said, they're not surprised. Like, at this point, if Elder Scrolls 6, I think it would be a bigger surprise if it was going to be a multi-plat, but it's the single player version. So that should have been a given that it's not coming to other platforms other than where Game Pass exists. And considering like you guys joked about it, like these guys have, $5,000 PCs as they brag before, that they don't need an Xbox. They could just play all their games on their PC, and then they should be good, right? Because Xbox games are easy to play on PC and whatnot. So they could go that route. I mean, they even allow the games to be sold on Steam. So they don't even have to bother with the Microsoft Store. They can buy it from Steam. But no, they don't want to do that because they probably don't have those $5,000 PCs. I mean, I spent a lot on my PC, but I can't imagine why you would spend $5,000 on a PC that, you're going to be constantly updating, every, 3 to 5 years or changing out parts at that kind of price point. That's above what I would even bother with. But all things said, it's like, it's funny to me that the same bad actors always have like an issue with what Xbox is doing. And these were the same individuals that like Xbox needs to compete. They should do this, they should do that. And it's like, well, now they're doing that stuff and they're like, not like that. Not like that. It's like it's funny to me. And I can't it still sticks with me. Somebody said in the chat on one of Boom shows, it's like, their PC now runs on Pony Tier or is liquid cooled on Pony Tiers. I think that should actually be a new modification, like from NZXT or something like that type of deal. But it never ceased to exist. It's like they'll find a new goalpost to move around once that game is released and they don't have access to it on their preferred platform. The whole notion now about them going out of business in 4 years, it's like, are they even paying attention? Like,
they're running with it too, bro.
Yeah, that's crazy.
The funny thing is, they've been predicting for the past 12 years, if not the full 20 years, Xbox is going out of business. You would think, I understand the concept of, a broken clock is right at least twice or something like that. It's 20 years. Grow up and get a new like objective or prediction for Xbox at this point, because 20 years into the making and you couldn't be further from the truth. It's like, if anything, their preferred platform might go under before Xbox. But
shout out to King Dave said no PS6.
Crazy.
You know what? I would not be surprised. Like, and Jim Ryan told him in so many words that the console is not enough. That's why the whole slate's coming to PC. And yet the games aren't really selling well on PC. Why? Because they're not day and date. It's like 5 years old.
Yep.
A PC player is like, in 5 years, if they haven't already bought it on PlayStation, they're probably moved on to other games. Like, it's not like PC is starved for games. Like, there are way more games on PC than there are on
any
console.
other platform.
Can I say something fuzzy?
Yeah.
The PlayStation, if the PlayStation 5 doesn't sell, Sony doesn't sell software. If Xbox consoles don't sell, Xbox can still sell software.
True.
Flat out.
Good point.
And they don't make a lot of money on hardware. Also.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, that came out in the documents for the court stuff. It's like, and even in the quarterly reports for PlayStation, like, yeah, they're selling 40 million consoles. That's great. But they're not selling the software that they need to sell in comparison. Like, even with, Final Fantasy 16. Oh, the sales are strong in the beginning, but yeah, they were probably looking at like the first 2 weeks overall, 3 million in out of 40 million consoles. Yeah, we're not going to talk attach rate because, Nintendo's king of that. But come on, like, if it's only on PS5, they shot themselves in the foot by not making it on PC day and date. But, be happy with those 3 million. Well, guess what? They're not, because that's why they're now partnering back up with Xbox. So it's I don't know. These same individuals that say there's a surprise, they're all about talking about Xbox instead of their preferred platform. And there's no roadmap for their preferred platform other than Spider-Man 2 this year. And
I like this fuzzy, man.
Crazy. Look, gloves
Big
off,
smoke,
man.
big smoke.
Big smoke fuzz.
Like this fuzzy. He TTSing.
I have my PS5, and it's like, other than playing GT7, it would be collecting dust. Like, seriously. I want to hear an announcement for Ghost of Tsushima 2. That was my game of the year when that thing came out.
That's a great game.
Yeah, I want to hear about it, but Sony's being quiet for whatever reason.
Listen, no, they're not being quiet. No. Let's not get that mistaken, fuzz.
Yeah,
did we
they're
forget?
talking about the games as a service, phone stars.
Listen, no, we can't forget. No. Let's not backtrack here. Let's not move past that too fast. We got to understand that this came out years ago, a couple years ago. Jim himself said, look, 40 million copies of Spider-Man, 30 million copies of God of War, that's great for 30 days. Like, that's great, but we need some reoccurring income here. Like that's not going to cut it. That's a great like advance, but that's not paying the bills in 6 months. Yeah. We need something with some legs. So let's not forget about the recommitment all of a sudden to multiplayer games and games as a service. That's where they're really going here. Let's not slide past that, because that's the new focus, and a lot of Sony fans are having a tough time dealing with that. Like, that's going to be a very, very, very big pill as well. Matt, we talked about this, man. We brought this up, right? That's the new focus at Sony, games as a service. We need to get this multiplayer stuff popping so that we can continue to make, because the multiplayer stuff is going to fund the single player games.
Yeah, and it's not as much as them being quiet for me as it is that nobody likes what they got to say now.
The stuff, even the games as a service stuff they showed was hush mode. Sony fans were killing that stuff.
We got no faith in them. I have no faith in Sony for live service games. What are they?
Those games.
What have they ever done? What have they ever done to give me faith that they're going to continue support for those games when they flop at launch? Right? Like, nothing. They haven't ever shown the commitment to be able to make these things a success when they start slow. And I don't feel like they're going to. Like, meanwhile, people cry about Xbox actually doing what they want PlayStation to do, is have more big exclusives, right? So Elder Scrolls going to be exclusive. I was one that I thought originally had a chance just because of the ABK court cases and everything. I didn't know what was going to happen there, what kind of remedies were going to have to be put in there because the CMA was being such a pain, right? But turns out there's nothing in there that says that, hey, every game that Xbox has, it's not part of the Call of Duty line. And
matter of fact, they came out and doubled down. Didn't they say they're more than okay with that? They did the math.
Yeah,
they did the homework.
Once they removed PlayStation from the equation, it's like, okay, Elder Scrolls is for sure going to continue to be planned as an exclusive, like it was when they acquired them, right? So it's interesting to see that this lack of outcry from PlayStation audience about the as Fuzzy calls it, no roadmap, because there really is not one, and we don't really know much about 2024 for PlayStation. They had another opportunity, they had another show, and they showed nothing. They showed nothing that was big from their first party side for next year. And does that get us excited and warm fuzzy feelings about the future there? No, but people still want to go, and they try and say Xbox is going to die in 2027 or whatever nonsense, even after they've seen the roadmap come out to 2030.
So I got a question.
How can you do that? How can you see this is the plans for our entire platform? Oops, we accidentally leaked it until 2030, and you're going to be like, oh, they're going to shut down in 2027? Yeah, that's a
great
waste
point,
of
man.
time. Like, really? You're going to run with this one thing that he said in a hypothetical situation to people when he was trying to get them to let them buy ABK? You're going to run with that instead of actual roadmap accidentally leaked from the actual platform holder that they didn't want anybody to see? You would rather run with that little transcript piece and then try and claim that Xbox is going to get shut down? God, these guys have no clue about what context means. Some of the most ignorant people, either they're just making disingenuous content for clicks,
they're purposefully ignorant,
or they're
like
actually that stupid.
I mean, there's that too. Can I bring up a question? Because we got to ask this question. And like I said, it's the perfect panel to really ask. We got Steel, got Dirt, Mad Fuss, got a popping ass chat. So I really want, and I brought this up when the news came out that Sony's focus was going to be multiplayer. And I'm going to start with you, Dirt, on this because I'm dying to hear your opinion on this, brother. What's Sony's ceiling for multiplayer games? We got to remember they abandoned multiplayer altogether for the last 20 years. They have zero multiplayer presence. What's the expectation for Sony in that space?
I won't say 20 years. They had some PS3 multiplayer first party games.
The first Factions did very well.
Yeah,
that was a very
well. They had a couple of games.
I mean, it's touch and go, man. It's touch and go though. It's few.
I agree. See, because the PS4 generation, they completely abandoned any type of first party multiplayer. Listen, man. We all know they acquired Bungie to help them.
Filter.
Um,
HR.
Yeah, absolutely. Right there. But Bungie out there calling shots. Say, yeah, man, you know that game?
Nah.
Deviation. You know that game over there? Yeah, shit. Hey, Naughty Dog, I know you guys make great single player games, but Jim Ryan put us in the lead of watching all you POS studios make multiplayer, and factions is shit. Go back to the drawing board. So it seems like, I don't know who mentioned it. I think it was you, PTK, but somebody mentioned PlayStation. They're not familiar. They're not comfortable with doing multiplayer.
Yeah.
And
they're not.
they are literally about
Call
to
of Duty was their multiplayer, man.
That was their. Oh, don't get me started with this because I
don't want to I don't want to have you going left. Just go ahead.
Oh
yeah.
my God. Okay. Let me start.
Yeah, my bad.
I was 2 hours, like we 2 hours in. I'm sorry. So multiplayer is something that people don't give Xbox credit for. I mean, well, they do, but sometimes people forget that Xbox, their biggest games had campaigns and multiplayers back all the way back on the original Xbox.
Talk about it. Complete games.
Complete games. People don't talk about that, right? All the way back to the original Xbox. So Xbox is familiar with it. Also, Xbox bought ZeniMax, which means they had bought a studio that knows how to port games to PC, right? So now with PlayStation and their first party, there's like, okay, I know our strong suit is single player games, but we're just going to buy studios that port games to PC and make multiplayer games. Okay, how is that going to work? It's going to be a learning curve. Now, Haven is a brand new studio. What's the name of that? Fair Games.
Yep.
Yeah, don't know what's going to happen with that. Firewalk,
Fire Sprite.
The twerking hamburger, like trailer. Like it's so much stuff we just don't know what's going to happen with PlayStation, man. Let's be real about this. Yeah. And it's not even Jim Ryan said in this interview that leaked today or whatever. It was an interview from, I guess, a couple months ago, but it's leaking today. He said he's not naive enough to believe that all of their games as a service will hit, because it's not. They need maybe 1 or 2 to hit, but at the same time, it's not a guarantee because the market is saturated with games as a service.
And they're so mind screwed up right now about the portfolio. They're trying to trick themselves into thinking that all of these single player action adventure games that they have are now in different genres. They're starting to make up things. Spider-Man is an RPG, everybody. Did you know that? Oh my God.
Hold on, wait a minute. Somebody said Spider-Man is an RPG?
Yeah,
it is. Didn't you know?
You're role-playing as Spider-Man, right? You're role-playing as a spider, and you have skill points. It's an RPG now. So they got their big RPG now. It's Spider-Man.
If you got
what a diverse portfolio.
What?
Yeah,
man.
I didn't see that. Y'all got
plenty of
RPGs in the
DM. Spider-Man's a WRPG, man.
We got RPGs. We got simulators. The God of War is a simulator now. It's Sad Dad simulator. So they're gonna actually roll with that. They got
Sims 4 DLC.
So many different genres, all within the same scope of kind of games. It's amazing.
I didn't see that, bro. Y'all got to send me that. Is it a tweet or somebody said it on the podcast?
It's a tweet. There's a bunch of them.
Fuzzy, if you got it, if you could just send it to me.
Horizon is an RPG now. Spider-Man's every game that they have. God of War is an RPG, and every game that they have is an RPG. It's amazing.
So, Mav, we got to get your take still though, just on what's their ceiling as far as what's best case scenario for Sony? Because look, you named off a bunch of games that are just names and potential, and I'm not gonna talk about like Jade Raymond and Haven and Fire, because I'm gonna give them the opportunity to make a good game, just like we would any other studio. So I'm not gonna get too far in on them, but just what do you think best case scenario for Sony is?
Best case scenario is that
like Destiny.
The best case scenario is that they have a bunch of shit in their back pocket that we don't know about, and that's what I gotta hope for. I think stuff like Cory Barlog's game, the space game, and stuff like that, because people are looking for a certain thing from them. Whether I want more diversity.
People don't want to talk about that though, man. People don't. Let's be honest, man. Like you just hit the nail on the head. Like people don't want to. It's okay to say we like those kind of games. It's okay.
they've dabbled in these other kind of games before and failed miserably. It started way back in the PS3 generation, right? They tried to make a shooter back in the day. They couldn't do it, so they gave up on it. Instead, they just relied on Call of Duty. They tried to do massive open world online games. They had MAG, right? And they had other games that they tried to do that stuff with. That failed miserably. They had other exclusive online live service type games. They had multiplayer shooters that were exclusive, like Lawbreakers and all these different things, but they all failed. They all failed, and that is a thing
PlayStation Home.
that they've dabbled in all this stuff, right? But they haven't had a lot of luck with it. So, but they need to have success with that. That's why they bought Bungie, right? Because they're like, they know how to do it, so let's get them. And then Bungie takes a look at what they got going on, and they say, Bungie, oh, how are we doing? Bungie said, you have no clue what you're doing. This sucks. Cancel it. And so they canceled all they had left, which was factions, or they've delayed it for a long time at least. So it's interesting. I think that what they need to do is get a mixed bag. They're going too all in on one thing. They're kind of like pulling a Ubisoft a little bit, where they're like, hey, let's try and make everything and put all of our teams on these different kinds of projects, and we're getting away from what we're good at, right? So what they need to do is have these other experiences, start some new IP that are in these same genres. You know, they had success with that with like Ghost of Tsushima and stuff like that. They need to keep on that same track, and then you have a couple of these other experiences, right? But when you have a huge showcase, so this was, remember, their first big summer showcase in years, right? They have that, and they have none of that stuff, right? They have none of the big games. They have none of those big things that people are looking for. So they need to get back to showing people that stuff. They need to have the other live service things mixed in and experiment with that stuff as well until they figure it out. And then when it flops at launch, don't give up on it. Make it good and invest in it and grow it over time, because you're going to struggle at launch, right?
Yeah.
With these kind of games.
Listen, your fan base isn't used to these kind of games as well. They don't play these kind of, they're not, because let's be honest, like, we're groomed for certain things. Like, it is what it is, right? Like, some people use iPhones, some people use Androids. We're groomed for certain experiences. And like, as like just two different fan bases, right, Mav? Would you agree with that? Like, they're used to a certain, like you said, the third person action adventure. That's what they deem is a quality game at PlayStation. When they say we want high quality, that's what they're talking about.
Oh, and they're
not talking about multiplayer games.
They got to make sure that they also have those games that they're going with the proper ecosystem in place, which they don't really have yet. They're not putting their games. They're not putting their games day and date with the subscription service yet. They don't have a PC storefront. They don't have cross-buy. They don't have any of that stuff, right? So Bungie is the only one where you can really look at it. They have this ecosystem evolved within there where, you know, when you buy Marathon, it's going to work because you have PC players are going to dive in, PlayStation players are going to dive in, and it's going to roll that way, right? But you have these other games. How is it going to work there? Are they going to get their PC store app? Are they going to do a PC and PlayStation day one? Are they going to allow cross-buy between the PlayStation and PC? Because they don't have a PC store right now. So are you going to have to buy it twice if you play on PC and on PlayStation? You know, like, are they going to have more devices in other places and all these kind of things, cross save, like all this other features, right? They need to get all that stuff in place to really have the kind of future success that they want to have with these kind of games. So it's more than just launching a game. There's a lot of back end stuff that they got to do.
Yeah. They're fighting, and this is something that people don't talk about. We always talk about for years. Steel, Dirt, the what was it? Xbox needs to do the first person exclusive, first party exclusive. We need them. Xbox needs to be able to do that. They don't have any. Xbox is out there. They've shown with games like Starfield that they have these kind of games in the pipeline, these kind of high quality first party experiences. Sony has not shown at all that they can make a good multiplayer game that's going to last more than 3 months.
You know, part of the problem is they don't have enough money to be able to really go and do all these different things at once. Like, you saw whether those, how accurate the numbers are, but to make less profit basically than Microsoft is in gaming,
doubled up.
You have to spend more
consoles,
money, right? You have to spend more money because their biggest revenue is actually not biggest, but a lot of the revenue is actually in the consoles. They're not making a lot of profit on the consoles, right? So their biggest moneymaker should be, and profit should be, the services and should be the games. But those have been what's been down this generation for PlayStation. Even as they've been selling more consoles and hardware, services and software have been continuously down on all of their financials, right? So there's no reason when you see those things that came out recently with the percentages and everything that they spend a lot more money to make a little bit less than even Microsoft, who supposedly isn't profitable, as people said in the past, right? So you got to look at it like, how are they going to achieve these things as quickly as they need to? They got to be really clever with the projects that they have kickstarted. But that's what I worry, is that there's too much of this other stuff and not enough of what people want mixed in, right? They got to have both.
And this is a new Sony, let's be honest. We don't know what they're going to do. We don't know what that next move is going to be. We used to kind of be able to feel Sony out. They're a bit more calculated, with the moves, a bit more predictable, I would say. But now you just never know what Sony's going to do. Let me get to a couple, but we get to you still. Let me get to, and you Fuzz too. Let me get to a couple super chats real quick. We got Adidas with the $2 super chat. He said, let me see. What did he say? He said, MBG, Mighty Big Gums is hurt, sore heart. I think that was a direct shot, but let me go ahead and throw this other $5 super chat. Shout out to you, King Webb. $5 super chat. He said, people sleeping on one thing. Sony has Pearl Abyss and NeoWiz are making 2 exclusive games for Sony. They do have some stuff in the pipeline. I don't think we're unaware of that. I think, we haven't talked about that much, but there's a couple things that they do have. Obviously, they're not bare bones. The roadmap feels bare bones. We just don't know. There's not a lot on the calendar. Even with those things that you just mentioned, we have no idea when those games are coming out. When those games are going to be featured, when we're going to see any new trailers, anything. So even with that said, it's still, go ahead.
Isn't NeoWiz that the one? Was it Stellar Blade? Isn't that the one that they're making?
I believe.
Yeah, that was supposed to be this year, but it's disappeared. And I think Pearl Abyss. Isn't Pearl Abyss Black Desert?
But they have another one, but that's not
that game.
That's multiplayer.
That's multiplayer. Yeah, that game looks good. What's the name of it?
Crimson Desert.
Yeah,
Crimson Desert.
Yeah, but it's definitely a multiplayer.
Okay. All right. Well, still, just where you at? Obviously, we're talking about Sony's roadmap and just multiplayer for them. I asked about originally. Just kind of their ceiling, like multiplayer, man. Like, just I don't know what they could do. You know what I mean? Like, that's a hill. Obviously, they got to climb.
Yeah, it's a huge hill that they got to climb. It's part of the biggest reason why I'm not in that ecosystem, and have fell to the wayside in the ecosystem because they blatantly have made themselves known to be as a single player box. And everybody that I've ever talked to, outside of Call of Duty, people will say, "Oh, I play Sony games because they got those good adventure games, or they got good cinematic games and the good graphics, and they just feel good. I pay for high quality games, so I go to Sony." Multiplayer has always been kind of I'm not going to say necessarily a joke for them, but something that they never necessarily took in serious, which has always been a problem for me as somebody who is a fan of factions, can go on a rant about factions, because I do believe that was one form of something that they had that offered a competition. Like, that was their Gears of War, and they slept on it. And matter of fact, they brought it in the what it was, like the definitive edition that ended up dropping on PlayStation 4. But then after that, when they released Last of Us 2, they not only said that they weren't going to have any PvP, it was like 6 months to almost a year beforehand. So it's like, okay, so throughout the development process, that wasn't even a thing for you to work on, or that you were thinking about, come to find out. And now we're at a point to where you're just showing me screenshots of something, and it's not even screenshots. You're showing me artwork. So it's obvious to me that you don't even have a clue of where you need to take this game, because your base doesn't know whether they want to take this game. Because again, I don't hear. That's what's so sick to me. How do you have a game that has the potential that Factions has, as an example, and nobody's talking about it? You know what they talk about? Oh, Destiny. You know what I did in Destiny last week? Oh, you know what I did in Call of Duty last week? The Factions is nowhere to be heard. Again, you don't support and help branch out and see that online multiplayer gaming is a thing to you. It's you're kind of lagging yourself behind. But when your fan base isn't necessarily asking for it, who's to blame for real? because people complain. Like every time that I ask for multiplayer gaming on anything that Sony, I always get the pushback of who wants that. Like, what do you mean? Like, or when I get in any multiplayer discussions, it's like I like for games to have a good PvE and a PvP. Like, why can't both be good? And we don't get a lot of that outside of the PC and the Xbox side of things. But it's like that's a cheat code because Microsoft has always been part of the online infrastructure because they're Windows. So it's like even online gaming early on in the 2000s when DSL into the cable connections were becoming popular, they were already on that standpoint, putting the headset in the box with the OG Xbox, or giving you giving that Xbox Live popping. So it's sickening to see the way that things are going. Again, they also have SOCOM. I personally never played SOCOM. I have seen gameplay, and I can only imagine what that would look like today. Where's that at? That could be the modern day Ghost Recon people are looking for. But no, nobody looks at it that way. We'll get SOCOM eventually, I guess. Give me that Spider-Man 5. That's what I need. Yeah. I played this game 17 times, and I know the Spider-Verse games back in the day might be similar in a lot of ways, because I know this story can go only so many different directions. But again, not a knock against Spider-Man, because I love Spider-Man. Venom's going to be in this one, but it's not a reason for me to get a console, man. Multiplayer gaming is, but that's just me,
No,
first Spider-Man game in 5 years.
No factions, no other multiplayer, huh?
No
Foam
other
Stars, huh? That's the first multiplayer game. That's great. That shit about to hit. That's about to be A1. Watch.
Well, listen, Helldivers 2 is coming out too.
Helldivers 2 looks good, but it's going to be on PC.
Yeah,
so it's kind of blatant. I think that shows you even they know they got to put their stuff on PC day one. Helldivers out of nowhere, that's your IP. I thought you believed in your console. I thought we didn't need to bring games to play to PC day and date. What happened?
Did you see that game is $40? So does that mean it's like a double A?
It's a double A.
No way.
The first one was like
$40, yeah.
I loved the first Helldivers. It was like an indie
top
game,
down, right? Wasn't it like a top down?
Yeah, it was a top down
completely changed
co-op. It was fun games, kind of like a knock on ODST, like a take on that, like and yeah, you got like stormtroopers. They like shock drop troopers, whatever they they shoot down, and then you go and you kind of like go around the environment, and like there's different places you can go and stuff. And it was a really fun top down co-op game before, but they changed this one and put a lot more into it. It's like a third person action shooter now with co-op and stuff. So I'm looking.
I didn't realize it was $40 though. I didn't know that.
Yeah,
it's dope, bro.
It's a double A. But it's a big step up also from what the studio did the first time, like because it was even more like indie.
Yeah,
the first time they made it.
Well, I'm gonna give it a shot. I'm gonna get a chance, right? Like I want to get that game a chance. But
why not?
Listen, at the end of the day,
it's not gonna like ease the lineup concerns, right? You know what I mean? It's not that kind of game, right?
Yeah, no, definitely not. And I want to make sure we get to Fuzz here too, because I want to get your opinion on this, Fuzz. Before we wrap the show, man. This has been a fucking phenomenal show, man. Amazing show so far. But this is a question in dirt, and I'm glad we got you here tonight to talk about this, bro. That like just does not come up when we have these discussions. That never, ever, ever comes up. Sony has to do something different. People don't want to talk about that, dirt. Sony can't just stick to the same formula, and people are just brushing that by the wayside. They can't do what they always do, and people don't want to talk about it, dirt. Like it's just something people are uncomfortable with. It's okay. You gotta adapt and innovate. It's okay. Like you can't sit in your hands and just expect the market to bend around you like you Neo in the Matrix. You just dictate everything going on around you and try and bend the rules of physics, and everything got to go our way because that's what this energy is giving, and you're not prepared.
Well, see, the thing is, if you pay attention closely to what was being said the last few years, Sean Layden said that the budgets of these games is at a point they're not sustainable. So as you see, PlayStation, I always ask the question, PS4 was such a successful console, great numbers, great sales, they did great. If it was so great, why are they changing their strategy? Right? Because they have to. because these single player games, I forgot who mentioned it earlier, they sell 5-10 million and that's it. Nothing else happens. And these games are just not sustainable. We heard Starfield cost 200 million. Look at a game like Callisto Protocol, which has that PlayStation fragrance with which those guys said 162 million, and that game flopped. The studio was damn near about to shut down. So PlayStation understands that, even though they've done the same thing for so long, PTK, that's not a sustainable model anymore. Now they're trying this new model, and who knows where it's going to lead because they're not really familiar with that style of game. So PlayStation is fine. The casuals have been buying PlayStation 5s. Their best-selling games are usually Call of Duty, 2K, Madden, things like that. But we'll see how they do. Fortnite, we'll see what happens in the future, man, because these games are getting more and more expensive, bro. It's I saw a video where they mentioned budgets for games in the 360 generation. They were still in the millions, but they were like, maybe like a AAA game was like 10 to 20 million. Those same AAA games are like 100 and 150 million now, bro. It's crazy.
And people don't buy games. I don't know why people I don't know why it seems like always the Sony side of things paints it like people buy more games over there. And again, you have to buy games over there because that's your only option. Mm-hmm. But why is it a bad thing for you to have an option to either be in a subscription or buy games still?
Yeah.
I don't know. I just don't get
that. Yeah, I mean, Starfield was Bethesda's biggest launch ever.
Yeah.
And it's only on Xbox and PC.
Straight from the horse's mouth, man.
Yep. Yeah. Hey, yo, Still Rain, you know what? It makes no sense to me just because of the console war banter. These guys will sit up here and say, I buy my games. Yeah. I ain't no broke N-word. I buy my game. I have never heard the dumbest thing. You don't do that when you go to Best Buy. I want to support Samsung. I don't want the sale price. I want that $1,800, that $3,000 TV. I don't want the sale price.
Wild. People live. I mean, again, if that's you, I mean, that's great. And I'm happy for you. But dog, not everybody is that way.
Yeah, exactly.
Consumers aren't that way. There's a reason why TCL is popular. Like, it is what it is.
You're speaking facts, man.
You didn't go to the theater to see The Little Mermaid? What? You didn't support. You didn't support Disney. You watched it on Disney Plus. You're just renting it. You don't own it. You didn't support the actors. You didn't support the directors. You didn't support them. You don't. Like, where does that come from? Oh, you listen to the newest Taylor Swift song on Spotify?
Right.
Don't you want to be a real Swiftie and really support Taylor? I mean, come on, where the hell does this come from? Like, nobody says this.
Nobody says it, man. Facts, man. I've never heard this stuff. Like, look, when I go to McDonald's, I don't want to get nothing from the dollar menu. Yeah. I only get the big meals, and I always supersize it. Like, nobody does that.
Don't you want to support Ronald McDonald? You got to get the super extra value meal #2. Get that every time.
Got to get the Big Mac with the large fry.
Man, I'll tell you what, if McDonald's had a subscription service, I'd be day one on that.
Day one.
So much
Big
money.
Mac. All
Let's
day.
Go. Give me my double cheeseburger a day. Let's go.
You said a McDonald's subscription. Where the hell did we get on this show? How the hell did we get there?
Actually, in my area, they have it. They have it when you get the app.
Oh, wow.
If you shop there at least once a week, I think you get fries. No, I think it's something like for every purchase, you get like a free thing of $1 fries if you use the app, but you got to order.
Yeah, before you like rewards and stuff.
Yeah, some reward system.
Oh yeah, we take advantage of that.
Fire, by the way.
Yeah.
Oh damn, you got it too, Dirt.
Free stuff on there. Hell yeah,
damn. Okay, look, you done.
Like that.
Yeah, I know, right? I ain't got nothing.
Do y'all have it? Do you have the machines inside? Do you have the machines inside where you can order on the screen?
Yeah,
so
you don't have to like a few days ago.
So you don't have to talk anybody. You just like go in there and be like,
order it.
I just want to hit this. Don't leave me alone. But you only do that if there's like 50 cars in the drive-through. You go in there and use the machine. Right?
Crazy.
But man,
go ahead, Buzz.
No, I was going to say, as far as with the whole PlayStation multiplayer stuff, like I said before their showcase earlier this year, it's like I don't know how this is going to land with them because they had already talked about games as a service, and we've
Mhm.
had games as a service and enjoyed them here over at Xbox for the longest time.
Yep.
And it's something new to those guys over there, and they always used to try to poke fun at it, but it's like people were having tons of fun playing, Gears of War and Halo or multiplayer, and then having the seasons and all that stuff and constant support. Same thing with Forza, getting cars monthly, things that keep you logged in or log in daily. Like most other like looter shooters and stuff, they like that's what Destiny is about. Like you used to have to log in almost every day to get, go through that grind to get that, I forget what it was, something horn. I forget the gallow horn or something like that. So it's like if they're not playing Destiny, or if they didn't see what the the whole like games as a service, why that's important to these companies, I don't know what to tell them. Like now they're going to have to deal with a lot of their games having that multiplayer component. And I used to laugh like they try to make it seem like, oh, we got this free content for Ghost of Tsushima with the raids and things like that.
Bro, nobody talking about that shit no more. Why?
I try to get PlayStation guys to play. It's like, come on, let's go. Let's play like it's Division or Destiny or something. It's like crickets out there. It's like, really? So all of this about this free content, oh, it's great that we actually get content and Halo didn't. It's like, but you're not playing it. So what
that wasn't free. That was supposed to be there at launch. They just tricked everybody. Like it's such a Sony marketing thing that they do. They always trick people into thinking they're getting something that they're not. But like, Halo had the expectation they can't get around not having co-op at launch. But like, just a couple of months after the game's out, we have this brand new free mode all of a sudden to tell you about. It's called co-op multiplayer. But imagine they announced it earlier. It's delayed. We're launching an incomplete game, right? Like,
yeah, but PlayStation guys wouldn't complain or say boo about it. They'd be like, it pays to wait. And it's like, what, really?
It's like factions. They've been waiting 5 years or whatever the hell it is. Hey, we'll just keep waiting. It's gonna come eventually.
Here's some concept art. Oh wait, Bungie shot it down. No, but like even what is that? Returnal had co-op.
Bro,
I can't find a PlayStation dude to play that. Like the game, it's not ridiculously hard, but if you want to make it past like the third level or whatever, it starts to pick up the pace, and it's like, hey, can I get a co-op partner? Nope, nobody's playing it anymore because they stopped playing it after the first 2 months. It's like, oh, okay, I guess these first party games that you cap for, you guys play them for like 3 hours and then put them down. It's like, I mean, there's some people with like platinum trophies and then they move on and it's like, oh, you uninstalled it and that's it. Okay, I see how it is. But if they're just going to go for the platinum trophy, uninstall the game, that's not going to work for PlayStation much longer. And let's see if they change their trophy status where it requires the multiplayer time frame to get the platinum. I bet you that will probably put a monkey wrench into a lot of these trophy chasers kind of deal. But it's I would like to see more multiplayer games from Sony. It's just a matter of I just don't think the current fan bases are going to support it. Now, if they start coming up with games that appeal to Xbox guys, that might be in their best interest type of thing for Sony to do at this point. Like that Helldivers game, Starship Troopers, the game looks like it'll be a good game. They kind of killed off, the whole thing with Drive Club and closed down Evolution. But if they had something that was on par with Forza Horizon, that would be awesome. Like have it set in Japan or something. Have it where it's daily logins to get cars and all that stuff like what Forza does. And I guarantee you'll see better improvement as far as their subscription to PS Plus and stuff. But yeah, nobody talks about that. Who wants that? I want to play movie games with, quick time prompts. Oh, okay. Well, let's see how long that lasts. But it's going to be, there's definitely going to be some growing pains over there. And for what it's worth, hopefully they can figure it out. Hopefully enough of these games will land well and it not just be the, Marathon, which will be a multi-plat. But I mean, Sony fans are going to have to, adapt. And Sony needs to adapt and start putting stuff on PC day and date. Like, I don't understand why GT7 is not on PC yet. I don't understand why they're going to wait for Spider-Man 2 to be on PC. Like, if you're a PC guy, you probably weren't going to buy it on console anyway. If you're a console guy, you probably weren't going to buy it on PC anyway. So I don't see it cannibalizing their lineups or their sales. So they're going to have to, get with the program or get with the new times and stop, being stuck in the 90s and early 2000s with this concept of, oh, we have to, cater to the console first and only, and then 2 to 3 years later, and then it can be on PC. And if that's going to be the case, then you'll have more results like God of War and Spider-Man on PC, where it sold 50,000 copies or 100,000 copies, and instead of a couple million copies. So we'll see, but that's Sony's got some work cut out for it. That's all I got.
Definitely. And I think we're going to go ahead and wrap up the show on that note, man. It has been a phenomenal show, man. Shout out to everybody that came out tonight, hanging out with us, all the familiar people in chat, all the new people in chat. Before you leave on your way out, if you really rock with the show, if you want to come see us and hang out with us every week, you know what to do. Subscribe, follow me on X, follow everybody here. Everything's down in the description. Hit the like button. Let everybody know this was an amazing show. Retweet the link right now on Twitter. All that information is readily available, man. I want to give a quick shout out to our guests here first and foremost. We're going to start with you, Dirt. I greatly appreciate you coming out, brother. This was a phenomenal show. I'm so glad, brother. I'm so glad I was able to get you on this show this week because, the stuff we had to talk about, the subject was perfect, bro. So I greatly appreciate the timing. And sometimes the universe has a way of working things out for us. But let everybody know where they can find you at, Dirt.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, man. I check out my channel, Dirt Griggity. I actually dropped a video today. Check it out if you get the chance. Yeah, man, thanks for inviting me, man. I do partake in the console war banter, but it is what it is. But I have a good time doing it, and people seem to like it. So yeah, man, just check out my channel if you haven't already. Thanks for the invite, guys. Fun show.
Not a problem. Yeah, it was a ball. I had a great show, man. It's one of the most fun shows I've had this year, man. Shout out to everybody in chat once again. If you're rocking with us, you're rocking with Dirt, go follow that man. All his information is down in the description below. But once again, Dirt, shout out to you, bro. Great energy, man. I love what you're doing over there. I'm sure a lot of people are going to parrot that are going to follow me up and say the same thing, but you got an awesome show, bro. So just keep doing the damn thing, bro. I'm always going to support, and I know you're always a supporter here at the shop. You like family, bro. So you'll be back at some point in time. I already know. We'll rock out on
Thanks, bro.
On whatever. No, not a problem on whatever's going on around that time. So let me throw this. Yeah.
J Primo, show some damn respect. He called me Lavender again. Show me some respect, J Primo. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, you good. You good, man. But let me go ahead and give a shout out to our other guests as well, too. Steel coming in, man, making that coming in the last second, man. So I appreciate you sliding through, man. Once again, if Pong wasn't here, who else would I ask to, take his place? It doesn't make any sense to ask anybody else. But shout out to you, Steel, coming through, giving us that good knowledge, man. But let everybody know where they can find you, bro.
Look, you can find me everywhere. Steel Rain, the T's are 7 everywhere. Google's probably the easiest place. I frequent the Xbox ecosystem because they just make it easy between messages on Twitter or hitting my phone, whatever the case. So hit me there. Every Saturday morning we do have a non-console essential platform known as Live Split Screen. So definitely check us out there. We're a fan of that RTS view, pulling ourselves out of the map. And other than that, PTK, I'm glad I was able to come in here and slide through the back door. Again, it's been a podcast today for me, so that's been kind of different.
Nice.
It's been a while since I've been able to do one of those. So again, excellent conversations here. We have Mav in the building, Dirt, always bringing the smoke, always staying on point. Love it, love the energy. And Fuzz, when Forza come out, man, I might need you to be my tuner, dog. I'm just saying. I'm a good driver. I just need a tuner, man. Nah. But for I can't wait for Forza to drop. That's the next big heat that's over the horizon. But nonetheless, ladies and gentlemen, appreciate you guys in chat too.
And shout out to you, Steel. Appreciate you. Like I said, go follow Steel Rain, the other half of Living Split Screen. I would say the better half. I'm only listen. I'm only saying.
Not here to defend
listen.
himself.
I'm only man. Hopefully he's sleeping, not listening to this. So he
and he trying to be sneaky.
Nah, Pong's he's gonna try and he's gonna destroy me next week. But either way, it'll be worth it. Shout out to Pong, my brother.
I know he's appreciative.
Yeah, no, he's definitely appreciative. But shout out to Pong, my brother, man. But Mav coming through in the clutch once again. You always part of the show, man. You're like a pseudo member here. You're like that sixth man off the bench, always coming through, man. Just unexpectedly appreciate you. But if people don't know where they can find you, let's let everybody know where they can.
Thanks for sending me the link again, bro. Fun speculation on YouTube, and we got 4 shows. Monday, FSP Tuesdays, Fun Pop Thursdays, PM of the PM, Fridays, Xbox Ultimate Podcast. Come check it out.
Awesome, man. Short and sweet, man. Short and sweet. Shout out to you. Once again, Mav, FSP love, like my brother, my cousin, a huge part of the channel, man. So shout out to everybody that all the FSP love in the chat too, as well. I saw you guys hanging out with us too this evening, man. But last but not least, man, my right hand man, Mr. Fuzzy Belvedere. Phenomenal show, man. We have phenomenal guests, great topics, but let everybody know where they can find you, Fuzz.
Oh, just had so much fun being on here with you guys. Awesome guests. Always love hearing your guys' takes. Glad that we could do this show and get stuff off our chest as far as this nonsense on Twitter and stuff. But man, awesome being here with you guys. For those that want to hear my rambles and rants on anything gaming related, just follow me on Twitter, or the app formerly known as Twitter, at Fuzzy_Belvedere. You can also find me on Xbox Lunch Break Special on Double Barrel Gaming Monday at 12 noon, right on Mr. Boomstick's channel. And then later that evening at 10 p.m. on Mav's channel on Fun Speculation for FSP. And look forward to seeing you guys there. I had so much fun tonight. Thanks guys for joining us tonight.
Awesome. And last but not least, your host here, PTK Blam, across the board. Hit me up on Xbox at PTK Blam, on X, the app formerly known as Twitter. If you guys got any suggestions for topics, guests, poll of the week, hit me up there. My DMs are always open. I rarely block people, so you don't really ever have to worry about that. But shout out to everybody who came through, show love. Saw a lot of new faces. Once again, shout out to our guests. Always amazing, man. I love having these gentlemen on. Once again, Steel Rain, Dirt, Mav. Thank you guys for being awesome and hopping in here with us. Short notice. Just regarding the show, you guys just made the show amazing this week. But once again, people, if you want to be a part of this, you want to see this every single week, subscribe to the channel, retweet the links, let everybody know this is the best place to be to clear your palate on Saturday. Get that, get yourself right for Monday, because gaming has been hectic, and every single week we're getting big topics, big news, and this is the best place to come get that all cleared up on Saturday evenings. But we'll see you guys next week, same time, same place. Peace out, everybody. Enjoy your weekend. Have some fun. Be safe. We're out of here.
Later.